At this moment, the world has entered the Ice Age. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. Overhead Novel. Welcome to listen to the Dakia newspaper report. The current time is October 1st, 230. According to Professor James, a glacier meteorologist, in the next half month, a cold wave from the southern glacier Xihai mountain will sweep the world. At present, the cold wave is expanding, and the cold wave center has reached a sub-zero critical point. Please follow the official instructions to escape the cold wave in batches. This is the Great West Eagle News. The current time is October 7th, 230. According to the latest astronomical news, the countries currently in the hot equator have been completely frozen. Please escape the cold wave area as soon as possible. Dadang Bao, time October 10th, 230. Under the cold wave, the Great Western Kingdom fell, the Great Northern Region fell, the Great Western Land was reduced to a snowy and frozen land. The Noah's Ark prepared by the research station has fallen, and many continents have fallen. The official broadcast of Xihai City, earthquakes, storms, volcanic eruptions, tornadoes, and floods are over, and one day a cold wave will hit the last city of mankind. Xihai City will become the last city. Please stay at home and enjoy with your family. The last happy time together. Click on December 30th, 230, Xihai City. This city is close to the West Sea and the weather is dry and cool. Because it is located in the north, it belongs to the second line offshore industrial town, but now it is the last fertile soil for all mankind. The cold wave hits, the world falls, and the only surviving city is Xihai City, on the east city wall. This city wall has a lot of new technology anti-cold equipment, such as large-scale anti-cold insulation cloth, giant anti-cold engine, and protective pulsation tube installation point. But at this moment, a trace of ice appeared and began to invade the four walls of the city in all directions. The cold wave spread, and these anti-cold devices were freezing rapidly. On the east city wall, Ying Ziyue looked calmly at the cold wave in front of her. This is the extreme temperature, forming a cold wave in the form of white fog. At the edge, the temperature reached 100 degrees below zero. As for the center of the cold wave, it was absolutely below zero. 270 degrees, which means that the molecules stop moving, and no matter can survive in it. As the chief architect of this city, he has contended with a magnitude 8 earthquake, confronted the smog virus, and witnessed the heavy rain that could not flood the city in 1 month. But now he is defeated in the cold wave. This is the Ice Age. The cold wave will swallow everything known to mankind. Even a nuclear bomb can't stop it until the cold wave turns the earth into ice like blue. Goodbye, Second Ice Age. Seeing the city turned into a white ice sculpture, Ying Ziyue gracefully took out a cigar from his pocket. He ignited it unhurriedly. The cold wave behind him had already hit. The cigar was lit and exuding sporadic temperatures. Ying Ziyue smiled gracefully, spit out a mouthful of smoke. The smoke was lingering, and he jumped from the city wall and jumped into the cold wave of white mist in the sky. At the last moment, he seemed to have seen the last look of the world. The great statue of Daxi Kingdom has become a giant ice sculpture covered in frost and white. The leaning tower of the Eagle Nation will never bend again, and the extreme frost has frozen the tower into one point. The pyramid of the desert country has become a tower of snow white wind and snow. The scenic Great Wall in the east became snowy white, as long as the body of a frost dragon. The West Sea, the North Sea, the high seas, and the oceans are all frozen. The planet seems to be evolving, and the city of Xihai City has completely turned white. There are also countless people who have migrated around the world, and those who mourn, all have become white ice sculptures. On October 15th, 230, the second largest glacier world came, the last recorded in the chronicle. The cold wave comes, the end of the human era. The year 230 is July 1st. Yanjing University of Civil Engineering, to campus, in the office of the professor of meteorology and temperature. The professor's elegant Nanjiangkao sound plays. Everyone is studying civil engineering, so we must understand the factors involved in the construction of large-scale projects in different regions. The biggest factors are temperature, humidity, and weather conditions. In order to survive and live in the extreme environment of the southern glacier, for example, when you come to be a construction designer, how can you build in extreme environments, such as the recent violent heat, and how do you build and isolate the heat more effectively? The professor's voice is very soft, with a unique Nanjiang accent point in the first row of the classroom. Ying Ziyue, who bowed his head and meditated, looked dull, but his pupils were shocked. But he immediately regained his composure. Turn on the phone. Clear calendar time display. 1. I'm back to 90 days before the Ice Age. Ying Ziyue's eyes flashed with a lot of complex emotions: loss, bitterness, struggle, despair, and finally there was a trace of nirvana rebirth. Student Ying Ziyue, you can answer. The professor's voice sounded almost subconsciously. Ying Ziyue's pupils were calmly staring ahead, and her voice was extremely firm. Build a continental scale thermo-insulation layer. As soon as he finished speaking, the classroom burst into laughter. Zuba, this is sleepy. What kind of insulating layer is built in a hot environment? Sure enough, Zuba's thinking doesn't understand. In the classroom, curious comments from classmates came out. Turning his head, Ying Ziyue's eyes were indifferent. He quickly glanced a few times. A pair of emotionless eyes made the others shut up. Hahaing classmate is really good at joking. Next one, the professor said. What will it be after the hot weather? Ying Ziyue asked inexplicably. Normal weather. Someone spoke up. In the classroom, Ying Ziyue did not hesitate to pack things quickly, then put on the backpack, and walked out. In the eyes of everyone's astonishment. The sound of the classroom, again, was left with a clamor. No one knows better than Ying Ziyue that the current heat, the storms in the desert, the seawater that has begun to rise in water levels, and the sudden change of global warming, everything is just approaching the ultimate goal. That is, the second ice age. Chapter 2. From the new novel group 872,847,971 This group updates daily novels. From the new novel group 872,847,971. Ying Ziyue, a native of Yanjing. Before the disaster, he was a low-key, active and sunny student who loves civil engineering construction. He has a great family background. His father is a high-level executive and his mother is in charge of import and export business. He is the general manager of the Asia Pacific region. As for after the disaster, his mother rescued a motorcade and disappeared in a cold wave. As for his grandfather, the veteran who had returned from the Great West, he abruptly rescued thousands of people, but he froze his hands. There is also a great high-level boss in the city he was in. He didn't take a step back until he died. In the face of disaster, Lan Guo showed extraordinary bravery. As the sunset went west, Ying Ziyue's eyes flashed morning in front of the gate of the University of Civil Engineering. A trace of determination flashed across, and his pupils became more determined. Take a taxi home, Yanjing Yulan Villa Community. This is a 5-story villa with European-style architectural walls and Chinese interior decoration. The villa is empty all year round. The servant bowed at the door, and Ying Ziyue quickly returned to the bedroom. In the first step, he turned on the computer and began to search the internet. The papers of the Eagle Country Astronomy Club, the Rose Country Polar Geology Forum, the Northern Meteorological Bureau, and some secret news published by the Southern Glacier Meteorology. Now he has to determine the exact direction of the disaster, and then determine his next preparations. DSS. Eagle Country Astronomical and Meteorological Bureau. I'm Dr. Ross, an astronomer in Eagle Country. I have discovered an amazing fact with an astronomical telescope. That is, the solar system has discovered subtle changes in the position of the universe, and the rotation of the solar system has changed. According to the analysis of dust particle science, it means that the sun's rotation may be about to enter a dense dust particle galaxy, which means that the sun's radiation to the earth is reduced, and the consequences are unknown. Rose Polar Geology Forum. At present, there is a slight upward crustal movement on this planet, which has caused the volcano to erupt frequently. The impact is currently unknown. In Southern Glacier Meteorological Bureau, according to Professor Rui Keen of the Meteorological Bureau, the Southern Glacier is showing extremely subtle changes in polarities, and at the same time the north-south magnetic field begins to reverse. The atmosphere carries electric ions and cosmic dust, which may cause the sun to be blocked, and the temperature drop. Rain and snow continue. The consequences are unknown. Very good. In line with the main characteristics of the Great Ice Age, the subtle anomaly in the rotation of the solar system means that gradually, the time for the sun to shine on the surface of the Earth will be less. The movement of the Earth's crust means a large-scale global volcanic eruption, which means that the global temperature will drop sharply. The South Glacier has undergone a bipolar change. The magnetic field has reversed. The degree of direct sunlight has decreased again, and the rain and snow have continued. Everything forms a long chain, and the combination is equal to scientifically rigorous the second ice century. What does the Ice Age mean? There is a record in the history of the Ming Dynasty 5 element, that during the Ming Dynasty's Little Ice Age, the average temperature in Asia fell below zero, followed by drying up, heavy waterlogging, and extremely cold weather, blizzards in Asia, reduced food production, population turmoil, and even this indirectly led to the demise of the Ming Dynasty. This is just the Little Ice Age. As for what is about to usher in now, it is an unprecedented and desperate ice age in history. From the macromolecules in the universe to the change of electric ions in the Southern Glacier. From absolute zero to the stop of the movement of the molecules. This is the most brutal ice age in history. Call the bedroom illuminated by the orange table lamp is warm. In the bedroom, the eyes are handsome and the facial features are outstanding, especially the pair of dark jade, deep and full. This is Ying Ziyue who is thinking at this moment. He took off his gold glasses and began to think about the next preparation plan in his mind. A preparation plan dedicated to Zuba appeared. 1. Build a personal underground base. Dig deep underground. Use the line to design multiple natural temperature insulation layers. Block the cold current. Survive underground. Linger and wait for the second ice age to pass. 2. Build a galaxy spacecraft. Select elites to board the spacecraft and wait for the Earth to become a habitable state! 3. Report to the country. Before the cold wave, the whole country will build a snow country train that goes around the country. Build a giant great wall against wind and snow. Build a city of wind and snow that stands in the cold wave and turn this continent into ice and snow. The city of the ocean. At this moment, 3 rights that can be chosen independently, or it may be lingering, building private bunkers and storing supplies. But in the Ice Age this meant suicide. As for the first underground base, it means that it will be like a maggot lingering and panting. It can only exist underground until death, and it cannot live like a maggot. So this plan was rejected. As for traveling to the galaxy and taking a spaceship, only a few elite will escape, and the remaining 2 billion people will be reduced to the most beautiful ice sculptures. This plan is only chosen by elite level cowards. Thinking. Ying Ziyue's pupils were calm, and the pitch black pupils became more and more mysterious. He finally took a deep breath, as if speaking to himself. A real man has to dare to look directly at his pain. So from now on, there are still 3 months, which means there are still 90 days to prepare. If I persuade Elder number 1 that, if a super program is launched, then building a snow country train, and building a snowy city as it can be tried, because this country is an infrastructure madman. The voice stopped. Ying Ziyue took out a piece of white paper and wrote goal, to build a chain of wind and snow with the power of the whole country. Chapter 3. From the new novel group 872,847,971 This group updates daily novels. From the new novel group 872,847,971. In the peaceful age, what does it mean to turn a big country into a city of wind and snow? It means facing Western speculation. It means building it all with one heart, and it means that all talents will study this great plan. At the same time, the Eastern Dragon Congress exceeded the expectations of all major powers, but this is not important. When the ice age, blizzards and cold waves come, absolute zero will freeze all the noisy sounds. In the bedroom, it was 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was getting dark gradually. The orange light was shining and turned on. In the notebook, Ying Ziyue bought a high-priced news link of $100,000 from the dark web. The sales news flash was an eagle country builder, and the news only lasts for 10 seconds. Clatter, the link opened, and only a bunch of English fonts remained on the notebook screen. After 10 seconds of flash memory, Ying Ziyue's brain recorded the contents with her abnormal memory and familiarity. This can be understood as a global high-level plan, the United States of Rose's Noah's Ark prevention plan. 0.1. Noah's Ark, with a total capacity of 75,000 passengers, is currently located in the underground cave of 501 underground miles. Frying can prevent extreme high temperature, and can quickly open the bracket in a short time. At present, Noah's Ark has stored hundreds of thousands of seeds and thousands of animals on the earth. The ticket price has been cancelled, and the price is $10 billion or ordinary ferry tickets. The spacecraft technology left by that Tsarist state for its predecessor is currently unknown. The Arctic nation is currently a plan to vacate the underground, which is currently unknown. Master Plan Code Westland Doomsday Dome 0.1 Plan. The content disappeared. Generally speaking, this is a Western architect who sold the news on the dark web because he hated that he did not have a ticket, but then the news was cancelled. Ying Ziyue remembers it clearly, and the news will be complete in about 3 days. Cancel. Ordinary people will never know what will happen next. Clatter after closing the computer. Ying Ziyue's expression was not complicated at the moment, but with a trace of madness to the extreme solemnity. The crazy plan is to the extreme, and that is a solemn treatment. Now he wants to take a bet, to use the power of the whole country, to contend with the next ice age, and then let the whole country know that this time the preparations of the East will be stronger than ever. It will be unprecedented horror. The power of the whole country is only to deal with the second ice age. Turning to the calendar, it is currently July 1st of the year, and there are still 90 days before the ice age. In the last month of countdown, humans will experience various geological disasters, and then on October 1st, the cold wave of the century will start from the glaciers in the north and south. In less than 2 months, this planet will become an ice sculpture, so there are still 90 days. Enough. The power of the whole country and the talents are gathered to create a snow country train that travels around the country, as well as the ice and snow cities that are like dream castles. Next, there will be a new era. Chapter 4. Ying Ziyue returned to the living room from the sundown to the dawn of the night, and now it was time for her parents to return from get off work. In the living room, with the white lights shining, Ying Ziyue held a thin notebook and stood elegantly by the sofa until her parents walked side by side. Ying's father had been a soldier in his early years. He was burly, with a middle-aged inch head, sharp eyebrows, and standing in a high position all the year round. He seemed to have a great aura, but Ying Ziyue knew that until the cold wave came, his father had guarded the Yan by himself. Jing finally fell into the earthquake zone and disappeared. My mother has long hair, and the years have not taken away her appearance. She still looks beautiful and generous, especially the smile in her eyes is like a crescent, clean and kind. Before the cold wave, she chose to be the Minister of Logistics, and finally went out. The rescue was missing, and they were trapped in a cold wave, and died together. Now, Ying Ziyue's eyes are firm, and this time he won't let these things happen again. Mom and Dad, Ying Ziyue said, her eyes gleaming. Midnight. Why do you come back so early this time? Father Ying asked curiously. He knew his child, obsessed with architecture, a standard academic bully, and liked to wander in his mind, with a scroll temperament. Now his temperament seems to have changed. Putting down his luggage, Ying's father couldn't help but nodded in satisfaction. In front of him, his son had a straight back, and his previous stoop was gone. His simple eyes became piercing, even with a piercing light. This is aura. Very good. This kid at least has an aura now. Now this scene makes Ying's father more and more curious. What happened? This child will become like this. I have very important things to tell you. Ying Ziyue spoke, her expression missing. Let's talk. The two sat on the sofa and looked at their baby son with a smile. Mom, you are responsible for the comprehensive import and export trade. clothing, construction materials, and precision instruments. You are all responsible. Let me make an analogy. If our country's import and export stops, our country will start to store cotton clothes, steel, and insulation materials, and then began to close the country. Then within 1 year, this country can achieve sufficient internal materials, normal social order, and normal self-supply of grain, oil, food, clothing, shelter, etc. Ying Ziyue asked a very sharp question. This is asking whether the power of this big country can achieve the self-system supply of the Industrial Revolution after shutting down the country. From the supply of small steel nails to a piece of cotton clothing. The head of the regional import and export headquarters, so this question is very appropriate to ask her. Ying Mu looked good when she was young. At this moment, looking at her son's expression, the smile on her face returned, and she began to become very dignified. She regarded this opportunity as a discussion meeting. It doesn't take a year, 10 months is enough to prepare. Do you know what Danfang is called abroad? Ying Mu has pride on her face, as well as the self-confidence that is unique to Asians. Industrial power, a big agricultural country, and that is the upcoming world number one. The industrial system is opened, and the preparation time of 10 months can be used for normal self-consumption. Ying Mu said, "Is this your school's course again? The latest course is weird." Ying Fu couldn't help but jokingly asked. Ying Ziyue smiled and nodded, then trotted towards the bedroom. The parents looked at each other, shook their heads helplessly, and then walked to the kitchen. At this moment, the bedroom is brightly lit, the alien desktop computer is neatly arranged, and a piece of paper is placed next to the keyboard. Sit down, picked up the pen. Ying Ziyue wrote again, screaming. Judging by economics and tribes in the import and export field, once the country is closed, normal supply can be opened for 10 months. 10 months were too much. Ying Ziyue gently crumpled this piece of paper, and at this moment the basic data formed in his mind. 3 months. Only 3 months. Close the country. Purchase station non-contributed assets, such as rubber, such as precision instruments, and then stopped all real estate, entertainment, residential development, stopped any development, and gathered more than 1 billion labors, vehicles, materials, and then ordered the overseas Chinese scientific research, biology, and architecture talents to return, and then personally designed the snow country train, a wind and snow chain city. A gamble should be enough. In the middle of the night, under Ying Ziyue's golden eye sockets, a pair of dark pupils carried extreme madness. Next, let everyone come to witness a miracle come. Chapter 5. From the new novel group 872,847,971 This group updates daily novels. From the new novel group 872,847,971. The weather in July was very hot. After eating a meal of loo dishes made by her mother, Ying Ziyue entered the room and resumed her mastery status in the living room. Ying mother and dying father all smiled helplessly. Their children are like this, always entering this state of academic obsession. What kind of academic does this kid want to study? He actually has to pay for the concept of shutting down the country. Ying Mu couldn't help but curious. She is a top scholar in economics and sociology. She has truly obtained 5 economics in China and the West relevant degree, so she is also quite curious about this conjecture. What is going on? To make this country pay the price of shutting down the country, just to build an assembly line, and move toward an industrial system. This child's academic discussion is getting bigger and bigger. Ying's father couldn't help sighing again and again. In the middle of the night, like a howling wind, it swept the heat and arrived at 11 o'clock in the evening. This was the first day Ying Ziyue came back. Time waits for no one, especially 3 months of preparation time. In the bedroom, Ying Ziyue sits at the computer desk with 3 blank sheets of paper in front of her. It is extremely difficult to report the news to the high-level boss, but also to convince the high-level old people, and then start to prepare 100%. This is extremely difficult, and there is no opportunity for ordinary people. Distribute speech online, or call the embassy, or think of a way to meet with senior leaders and talk freely. No one would foolishly believe in doomsday speech. Call. Take out a little ice cube from the refrigerator. pour it into a cup, add Coke, and make a simple iced Coke. Then turn on the computer. Ying Ziyue regained her elegance again, without any rush. It is July 1st. And we are beginning to predict tomorrow's disaster. Draft paper number 1, prejudgment. Everything before the Ice Age, all disasters are recorded in the brain of Ying Ziyue. He is a civil engineering schoolmaster, but he has also paid great attention to the dark web news and supernatural organizations, especially before the rebirth experience, so he knows the contact information of some top scholars. This special research institute is the mailbox of the dean of the Yanjing First Research Institute. He mainly comes to receive some reports from the professors of the institute. This is an opportunity. Ying Ziyue opened the mailbox and clicked send. Title: Predicting Disasters. Content: at 2:37 p.m. on July 2nd, an oceanic volcanic eruption occurred at the bottom of the Maia Islands in the North Glacier, with a vibration level of 7.1 and a radiation area of 1.9 kilometers. With a flash, the mailbox is sent. The sender of the second mailbox is the private mailbox of Chen Jiang, the president of Tsinghua College. This is 163 mailbox, which belongs to his personal mailbox, and only deals with some international academic issues. Open the mailbox. The title is Predicting Disaster. Content: at 7:30 a.m. on July 2nd, a magnitude earthquake occurred in the northwestern part of my country named Zia Mountain. No population was in the middle. The central zone would destroy a provincial highway, with an area of 1,275 meters destroyed. Then the third one, the fourth, the fifth, Dean of Yanjing First Research Institute, President of Tsinghua University, Dean of Nanjing University, Head of Jinling Earthquake Center. 10 top domestic scholars have all received their emails. We must know that the frequency of global disasters is as high as 100,000 times a day, but most of them are disasters such as earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, submarine volcanic eruptions, avalanches, etc. But no one has predicted disasters in advance. The earthquake detector is only a few seconds. At 12 o'clock in the evening, Ying Ziyue basically finished sending out his mailboxes, and he released 10 mailboxes. The content of the first mailbox is a small earthquake in the northwestern Zia Mountain at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. The second content is at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The third one is tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The 10th one is at 7 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. 10 mailboxes. The content is compared to the 10-hour disaster trend. The geological disaster report recorded in the content, the area of the disaster, the degree of radiation, and the degree of destruction are extremely detailed. This is the amazing prediction. Boom. Gently closing the computer, gently crushing the paper with the words prejudgment in his hand, Ying Ziyue knocked on the table, and now the first wave of layout is completed. He is looking forward to the next 10 top domestic societies. Influential scholars look for scenes in special official departments. I will probably be investigated for background. Guess my own ability, guess my own purpose. Stabbed. The paper will be torn to pieces. Ying Ziyue is not in a hurry. He is familiar with the future of the disaster every day, and knows how to respond as a schoolmaster. Next, we only need to let the high level boss know that a young man named Ying Ziyue can predict disasters through some academic means. Chapter 6. At 6:30 in the morning. On the runway of Tsinghua University, an old man with a strong figure, gold wire glasses and slightly white hair is running. As a scholar, you must not only have a rigorous and rich academic, but also have a strong physique. This is the motto of Chen Jiang, the principal of Tsinghua, to students after running for half an hour. It was exactly 7 o'clock. Chen Jiang stopped slowly, then wiped the sweat from his forehead. Then he came to the canteen and started to order simple wontons, then opened the phone mailbox. The phone comes with Word. You can browse the mailbox file. After opening it, 2 pages the mail appears. The plan for the Exchange Student Forum for Science and Engineering students is as follows. The underground transformation plan for the Biological Research Institute is as follows, and the material filling requirements are as follows. One by one mailboxes appeared, but then the next mailbox stunned Chen Jiang. The title is very simple. Predict disaster. Who sent this? This mailbox is 163, which is a private personal mailbox. Only foreign academic professors and university lecturers know that most of these people are nerds and will not send such unreasonable emails. I opened the email and the sender showed that it was a strange and unknown number content. At 7:30 am on July 2nd, a magnitude earthquake occurred in the northwestern part of my country named Ziyue Mountain. The central zone will destroy a provincial highway with an area of 1,275 meters. At 7:30, there are still 15 minutes left. Chen Jiang smiled and deleted the text message and continued to eat. In the office at 8:30, the principal Chen Jiang couldn't help contacting the head of the Northwest Earthquake Center. He knew. Yeah, how did you know, Leo Chen? Our Northwest Earthquake Monitoring Center just discovered that we haven't notified the news release yet. The phone was shocked. Click. After hanging up the phone, the principal Chen Jiang's expression completely changed. He stared at the unknown sender and then resolutely dialed a special official number at this moment. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, until 7 o'clock in the evening. In 10 locations across the country. 10 scholars are experiencing it, and they quickly began to report to the National Special Research Team. This is a special research department responsible for special academic issues, such as the treatment of gene editing before, and now this special academic is also handled by them. It's exactly 8 o'clock in the evening. The location is Bipingshan, the western suburb of Yanjing, which is also the military area in the special research group. Building area. There are black iron plates standing at the entrance of the mountain. At this moment, in the lobby of the special research building where the military vehicles are parked with bright lights, the president of Xihai University stared at the lobby blankly. Several friends he knew were all there, the principal of Nanyang University, the head of the Jinling Seismic Center, and the chief professor of Hanzhou Geology, Chen Jiang, Ma Chen, head of the Southwest Architecture Headquarters. In short, these 10 people are all top domestic architecture, geology chiefs, chief professors, and presidents of the General University. These people all have a certain degree of influence in society and belong to the upper class academic scholars. Chen Jiang, the principal of Xihai, knew that obviously these 10 people had also received a disaster warning. Who is this sender and what is it going to do? Boom, boom. The strong sound of the army boots touching the ground. The sound is close. In front of 10 people, one is 1.9 meters tall and looks like a brown bear. He wears a special army tent with fangs and his epaulets are majors. This is a middle-aged man, about 35 years old. He stood straight and then suddenly saluted everyone. Everyone, my name is Zhao Guofeng, the leader of the special research team. The reason why I called you is because each of the 10 of you received different pre-disaster emails. 10 emails perfectly predicted that within 10 hours today, the different types of disasters that have occurred. From today, you are temporarily living in the special research team. We have investigated the sender. At the same time, the time, order, and name of your mail are a sort of ciphertext arrangement of the Warring States period. Now, ancient cryptographers have done it. Analyze and crack. Zhao Guofeng spoke. At this moment, all 10 people present were shocked again. Who is this person? Unexpectedly predicted 10 kinds of disasters in different time periods and different locations, and also added the ancient Warring States period ciphertext to the content of the prediction. All numbers are arranged in ciphers, which belongs to ancient ciphers in the East, and is also one of the research directions of archaeologists. Unfortunately, Ying Ziyue likes this kind of ancient password arrangement very much, so he tried it casually. Sure enough, the country has a strong historical background, and he can easily crack it. In the hall at this moment, the expressions of the 10 scholars became more solemn. What is the translation content? Professor Xihai Chen Jiang frowned. Meet the boss. Chapter 7. In the lobby of the special research building, there was a dead silence, and a needle drop could be heard. Chen Jiang, the principal of Xihai, frowned slightly. His eyes were complicated. Is the sender in front of him just to see the boss? Which brought us here? Asked Ma Bao, head of the Jinling earthquake group. After waiting for that person to meet with the boss, you will know. From now on, you will temporarily rest in the special research center. There will be guards who will take you to your residence. The signal here is disconnected. I will trouble you to stay here for a day. Thank you for your cooperation. The special research team. Xiahou Guofeng didn't have any expressions. He said lightly, then turned and left. You. As soon as the principal of NTU frowned, the Minister of Earthquake Jinling grabbed him. Minister Ma didn't speak until Ma Guofeng walked away, subject to the arrangement. Do you know what the special research team represents? Some advanced academic controversies are handled here, such as a special research team sent by a major academic research society to protect safety. The research team, in short special academic research, is the responsibility of the special research team. Most of the team members here are special soldiers who retired from the Navy and the Army at the age of 35. While Minister Ma was talking, he looked at the leader of the special research team, who was only left behind by the brown bear. Team leader Xiahou Guofeng used to be an undercover mercenary. In the country of Saskatchewan, there was a huge strangulation in a bay. He was called the Bear of the East. He was barbaric, and his methods were ruthless. Don't offend him. In short, wait quietly for that person and just boss dialogue. Ma Bao said. At this moment, the hall was silent again, and the 10 people looked at each other. They were all senior academic staff, and naturally they were thinking far away. This person is looking for us to predict the disaster. What is he doing? What is he going to talk to the boss? The president of Nantai University has a complicated expression. He seems to feel something. These 10 people are almost the top in the northwest, central plains, Hanzhou, Nanjiang and other regions of the country. Scholars, it can be said that 10 people represent the national scholars. This person is obviously very meaningful and has great eyesight. I don't know, but it's probably going to change. Chen Jiang, the principal of Qinghua, looked at the starry night in front of him, thinking of predicting the disaster. This time he felt that the next day might really change. July 3rd, 8:30 in the morning. The dawn is warm and hot. Yanjing is located on the edge of the Central Plains, close to the Great Wall, and the south of the Yangtze River, so the weather is not very hot. But people were still complaining. On the balcony, Ying Ziyue looked at the office workers in the villa area, as well as the housekeeper, complaining about the hot weather, tanning, and so on. On the balcony, he smiled strangely. Tanning, indeed, will tan, but then after a series of natural disasters, the cold wave of absolute zero, blizzard will make everyone start to miss the sun. In the morning, Ying Ziyue's parents have already gone to work. Ying Ziyue took a cigarette from her father and slowly smoked. He doesn't like smoking, but likes the feeling of smoking. While waiting. Bang bang bang. There was a knock on the door, followed by the sound of the property. Is Mr. Ying there? We are the property. It was indeed the voice of the property, a very low level method. From the voice Ying Ziyue heard nervousness. Call. After breathing out the smoke, Ying Ziyue laughed, and finally came, and sent an email by herself. The research institute would easily locate herself by following the email IP, and then find her residence. In no hurry, Ying Ziyue wore simple black casual clothes. He opened the door of the house in Japanese slippers. At this moment, there were 4 special police officers holding automatic rifles standing in front of the door. In the middle, stood a strong man with a brown bear, wearing a special color uniform, which is black and white, like the special uniform of a certain army. Ying Ziyue, sorry, we are. As soon as Xiahou Guofeng, the leader of the Special Research Institute, was about to continue speaking, he heard a fluttering sentence, "Let's go," without rushing to put out the cigarette, and then closing the door, without even changing the shoes. Ying Ziyue walked out, as if waiting for them a long time ago. At this moment, Xiahou Guofeng was stunned for a moment, but then he narrowed his eyes, and the corners of his mouth showed a playful look. The young man in front of him is a bit interesting. Get in the car, cover your head, then drive for half an hour, then go through 3 inspections, 1 inside and outside the microscope, and then at 9 o'clock exactly, Ying Ziyue was supported by the 2 to a study. The study smelled of wood and the smell of scrolls. Opening her eyes, Ying Ziyue saw a figure from the back. This is an old man with a height of about 1.8 meters, standing straight, wearing a Chinese tunic suit and a little white hair. He is quiet, standing, exuding a shocking aura invisibly. Beside the old man, Xiahou Guofeng spoke quickly. "My name is Ying Ziyue. My mother is the head of the import and export trade headquarters. My parents are the minister of Yanjing real estate. My grandfather was a veteran of the past, and the rest of the family are more or less famous school professors, mentors, or businessmen. Upper class families, businessman. Official, educator. Xiao Guofeng quickly finished his report. Last night, you sent an email to 10 professors and predicted disasters in 10 places around the world, including the Zhejiang earthquake in northwest my country. The prediction was 100% accurate. The area of the national highway damaged by the earthquake zone was correct. Your password is asking to meet with the boss. What is your purpose now? Let's talk about it. A kid with a very good background. Xiao Guofeng spoke. The reason why his voice became a little softer was because Ying Ziyue's grandfather was once a comrade in arms with Xiao Guofeng's father. He looked at the relationship and found out that the Ying family is a very good family of loyalty. No, there will be other purposes. The old man still didn't speak, just flipping through the book lightly. Xiao Guofeng also stared at Ying Ziyue, as if to find something from his expression point. It's just that the young man in front of him has handsome features. He took off his gold glasses and his pair of dark eyes became dignified. Looking at the old man in front of him, Ying Ziyue respected him. This old man really showed what it means to fight for the country. Man defended Yanjing and was also the first person to stand tall at absolute 0. Now I saw again. Ying Ziyue stabilized the excitement of his voice, and his voice was clear again, resounding in the elegant and quiet living room. I want to stop any development across the country, including real estate and factories. I want the national labor force to stop, just for one project. At this moment, in the room, Xiao Guofeng's eyes were getting worse and worse. He regarded Ying Ziyue as a lunatic with a high IQ point, but as Ying Ziyue spoke again, this time, the words he confided were extremely firm at the moment. I want to try to contend the Ice Age with the power of the whole country. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8. Ice Age. When Ying Ziyue spoke, it seemed that the entire Huanghuali study was quite cold. The booze turned around and put down a book in his hand. This is a miscellaneous book of the Ming Dynasty. It mainly records some unofficial history, including the mystery of the end of the Ming Dynasty. At this moment, an elegant burly old man with slightly white hair on both sides, elegant, kind, and an aura of spontaneous respect. Ying boy, tell me what you think. Booth said, not in a hurry, but it gives a strong sense of strength. I have taught myself meteorology, geography, geotechnical engineering, physics, and astronomy. I have also won domestic youth awards in several academic fields. I have calculated the Ice Age 1 million years ago, referred to as the Fourth Era Great Ice Age. The Great Ice Age of the Fourth Age began. Time spread rapidly. The Bronze Age, the Iron Age, 5,000 years of human civilization, and then the cause of the Little Ice Age at the end of the Ming Dynasty. There are records in the history of the Ming Dynasty. Thousands of miles dried up. Blizzards were like wind, grain, and grass, and pedestrians lying on the side of the road one after another. The demise of the Ming Dynasty and the Little Ice Age are extremely implicated. So what? Xiao Guofeng, the leader of the special research team, said blankly, next, less than 1,000 years after the Little Ice Age, that is, now, the Earth's plant populations will decrease, wood will decompose, the Earth's crust will change to release carbon dioxide, human activities will release carbon in the fossils, and the temperature will start to rise. The next 3 months will be very hot, the hottest ever. Clatter. Ying Ziyue took a step forward, her voice with academic confidence. Then the first change is astronomy. The light time of the Earth and other galaxies. The dust particles will enter the dense galaxy, which means that the sun's direct time will be less, which means that the warmth will suddenly decrease in 3 months. The second is geography. Seismic tectonic movements cause land ups and downs, landmass displacements, and apparent polar shifts, and then chain reactions occur, such as submarine volcanic eruptions in various places, and then volcanic dust. various kinds of carbon dioxide on the earth will increase the temperature. Now the glaciers of the North Glacier are melting, and then the temperature drops, while the sun will be blocked, and the temperature continues to drop sharply. The third is the reversal of the magnetic field of the North-South glaciers. The glaciers are melting now, and then the speed will slow down. At the same time, the temperature suddenly reverses after 3 months, starting with storms, blizzards, continuous blizzards, and then the second ice age. There are 4 great ice ages in human history, but the real calculation is the great ice age of 1 million years. As for now, it is the great ice age that is recurring again. Ying Ziyue finished speaking, then took a step back slowly. Bu's eyes trembled, and his voice was complicated. What about your suggestion? With the power of the whole country, at all costs, all tasks are mainly to contend against the ice age, and the whole people contend. Ying Ziyue's voice is so hard that he is not allowed to refute it. He has witnessed the formation of global ice sculptures and knows how miserable it will be next. Tomorrow's Ziyue will give you an answer, the boss said, and then Zhao Guofeng motioned to the guard to give him a waypoint in the study room. It is not silent. In another room of the study room, Ying Ziyue's voice, movements, and facial expressions are all playing. Professionals are inquiring about authenticity and changes in Eli's point after half an hour. The answer I got was, Ying Ziyue was in a situation of extremely rational and clear thinking point in the morning. Zhao Guofeng once again searched for the top domestic astronomers, geographers, and historians, and then debated one by one. He did not mention the Ice Age, but just a one-by-one debate and analysis, and then continued the thesis analysis. When a national academic machine started in the afternoon, extremely detailed information, astronomy, geography, and even the speed of melting glaciers, and signs of seabed cracks, all formed a data link point in the evening. In the study, the old man sighed slowly. Zhao Guofeng stood by his side. Very respectful point, looking at the neatly arranged logically, the geographical and starry sky, the extremely detailed information of astronomical history. After all sorting out, a rigorous data link is formed point. That is the second largest ice age. If it were not for the subtle calculations from the millionth year, no one would calculate the reappearance of the ice age through all this. The boss looked out the window. It was getting dark at the moment. He slowly walked to the study room and made a call. The Crimson Conference will be held at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. The content of the meeting is stop moving, just for a plan. A horrified voice came from the other end of the phone, and then agreed, hung up, and Booz looked at the dark night and bright moon outside the window. On the balcony of Yulong Villa, Ying Ziyue was also looking at the dark night and bright moon outside the window. He is holding scratch paper and a black pen in his hand, and his writing style is strong. Take 2 billion people as the sword, 1,000 giant cities as the shield, holding the sword in the right hand and the shield in the left hand. To the Great Ice Age. The countdown to the Great Ice Age is 87 days. Chapter 9. July 4th, 7 o'clock in the morning. The news is still normal, but the weather has risen directly from the initial 27 degrees to 32 degrees just in the early morning. The weather is getting hotter and hotter. There are no official fluctuations. By the balcony of Yulong Villa 01, Ying Ziyue is not in a hurry. He knows that the official is in action. What he has to do now is to design the next plan as the chief designer. There are many plans to follow, because what we have to do is to protect this country, guard this big country, which is close to 10 million square kilometers. It's extremely difficult point, including cities and infrastructure. Call on July 4th. Today the school is probably a civil construction seminar, so let's get acquainted with construction for the last time, and then let the whole country be in the ocean of infrastructure construction. Ying Ziyue let out a long sigh, because today is over. It will be the day when the whole country will fight for life. Yangjing Stadium, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The originally pending first level internal affairs meeting was changed from 8 p.m. to 2 p.m. For many senior executives, the change of time for the first level meeting can only prove that the next meeting will involve the roots of the country. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the weather was quite hot. Point at the entrance of the stadium. Red flag cars were parked neatly, and teams of special police teams were patrolling with anti-explosion shields and automatic rifles with sharp eyes within 10 kilometers of the stadium. All roads, residential buildings, and playgrounds were emptied, and heavily armed soldiers stationed on the streets, all because this is a special first level conference on major powers. 2 o'clock point inside the gymnasium. There was no sound. High level people from all over the country were sitting quietly, and there were no reporters inside. Point there was only one old man on the high platform. In front of the old man was the microphone. He glanced around, and the eyes of one of them became serious. After discussion by the National Research Institute, geologists, National Astronomy and Starry Sky, and 7 university teams, 10 top academic professors, my country will launch a program codenamed Snow Country Train. From now on, the state construction department, the real estate sector was completely stopped and merged into the national infrastructure sector. At the same time, all high-speed rail trains were suspended except for planes and buses. High-speed rail train workers, as well as all workers building railway tracks, all implemented a plan, that is, the Snow Country Train plan. The old man spoke, holding a plan sheet in his hand. This was the plan sheet that Zhao Guofeng, the leader of the special research team, asked Zhao Ying Ziyue. Point the first plan, the Snow Country Train plan. At this moment, the stadium was silent. Point we must know that the current plan is almost abandoning the title of the country of high-speed rail, abandoning the plan to continue to expand the high-speed rail line, and directly constructing an unknown plan of Snow Country Train. Tomorrow, the Snow Country Train project will have a chief designer who will be responsible for it. But you will know how terrifying this plan is. The old man spoke lightly, dispelling everyone's doubts, but shocking everyone even more. The second stop is to stop the import and export of special materials, mostly steel, cotton, clothing, food, and the agricultural industry within a week. At the same time, a large number of special materials that are not available in the Asian land are purchased. After the second plan was said, nearly 400 high-level officials in the stadium couldn't help but breathe in air conditioning. This plan means that the title of major agricultural country and a major industrial country will be cancelled, which means that the country will be shut down. What the hell is this doing? Then this plan will be called Era Confrontation. At the same time, the government will form a new department called the Supernatural Special Research Group. This is a special research group and a special research center mostly composed of academic professors. The group leader is Ying Ziyue. He has the right to adjust the national trend. After the old man finished speaking, Yang Jing's internal chief continued to speak, again giving a more official narrative. Point at 5 o'clock exactly, the meeting was over, and the top executives looked at each other in the gymnasium. Who is Ying Ziyue and the person in charge of which region? Some regional leaders couldn't help but curiously asked, I don't know. This is not an overseas professor. I haven't found any information about him overseas. Who is he? What is going to happen next? Design the Snow Country Train. What kind of train is this? The minister of Nanjiang land couldn't help frowning. Gradually stop import and export. This plan is crazy. What exactly is going to do to test our country's industrial system? The minister of the Northwest Territories also frowned. Don't say it. Team leader Ying Ziyue is in charge of this plan, and you will know when he takes office next. The minister of the land of Yanjing said. Point the meeting lasted from 2 to 5. This was an undisclosed meeting, which caused the Western dark web to purchase the content of this meeting at a high price. No one knows that this is a first level meeting that tests the fundamentals of the country and takes the fortune of the country as the cost. Point it was also a disaster. 90 days ago, a big country tried its best to contend with the crazy plan of the era at all costs. Chapter 10. July 4th. 230, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Point the Chinese government is releasing on the Mega Quay, etc. platform, determined by multiple departments of internal affairs and foreign affairs. My country will set up a special department, Supernatural Special Research Center. This department will directly manage the national market. real estate, infrastructure industry, and factories. The impact of this news is not high, except for the shock of some highly academic professors. Ordinary people don't know what it means. At 6:10, in the second department of Yangjing College of Civil Engineering, in the infrastructure class, nearly 15 students were on the desk, with a drawing tablet in front of each point on the blackboard. There are a few big characters with clear pen writing point the task of the infrastructure academic seminar. You are in the North Glacier. The temperature has reached -57 degrees. You are in a glacier layer. Wanyan Glacier. How do you use the simplest materials to build an ecological garden in the shortest time? The ecological garden guarantees plants move normally. What do you need to deal with? What do you need to do? This is a test of meteorology, for the geological glaciology of the North Glacier, as well as civil engineering wind speed, temperature, air pressure, and sunshine conditions, and then comprehensively determine and start thinking about the infrastructure plan, how to build a perfect ecological park in the North Glacier. This is a daily assessment of civil engineering students once a month, and all the students present are outstanding academicians from various provinces. At the first position in the first row, Ying Ziyue looked at the exam questions with a complicated expression. 50 minutes until 7 o'clock to hand in the paper. Then the instructor was Ruan Chen, a famous geoengineering instructor in the Nanjiang area. He took the tablet drawing and started to check one by one. The number 8 student plan uses a temperature insulation layer, an electric current self-heating layer, a temperature insulation shed, artificial photosynthesis, and an arched ground building. This is the number 8 student point. The number 12 student plan uses an isolation layer, temperature isolation pipes, and then is equipped with isolation heating. It uses European-style semi-underground temperature isolation processing architecture. Until the number 1 test paper appeared, the tutor Ruan Chen took a breath, and the number 1 was Ying Ziyue. As a famous student in civil engineering, the tutor liked this kid very much. After picking up the tablet exam questions, the instructor was stunned. Build huge thermal insulation walls, build huge semi-petrified trees, arrange comprehensive pipelines on the foundation, adopt normal building construction, but build an internal temperature insulation layer around the corridor, and cover the ecological garden with large-scale isolation cloth for cold protection, and install it in the ecological garden. The underground autonomously drives the giant cold driving engine, and installs protective pulsation pipe installations on the side of the ecological park. Student Ying, your infrastructure plan is too cold. The instructor projected the test questions on the blackboard with a complex expression. In class, the other students' expressions changed a little, and some of them were whispering, "Oh my god, there are 2 huge thermal insulation layers inside and outside, and they are also equipped with special pulsation devices. The infrastructure of Ying Ziyue is really weird. Yes, it can survive in the coldest area in the world. This kind of device is too strong, but it's weird. Why did this device come out?" the students whispered. Ying Ziyue looked out the window. Then in the next class, Ying Ziyue used the tablet again for graphic design, simulating the design of wind and snow connecting cities at 8 o'clock in the evening. School is over at the moment. There is no one in the classroom. On the balcony of Yulong Villa, Ying Ziyue is holding a tablet. The first news is the official announcement of the establishment of a special research group. Crossed out the news. This is a dots drawing software. A sketch on the software. The sketch map of the big country shape is a rooster shape. On the map, a snow country train like a silver dragon covers any city in the country, and any city has become silver. This is the most extreme silver overlooking the sketch. Only the snow country train circling the city, and the blizzard chain city standing in the storm. Majestic and majestic. Chapter 11. 9 PM. No one knows, in the major search engines, in the ranking of positions, a department called Supernatural Special Research Department actually ranks higher than the head of internal affairs and the head of foreign affairs. Yulong Villa. This is a small family meeting in the daily living room for eating and discussing. Warm and cozy. Ying Mu is holding her arms, wearing a grey blouse and gold glasses. elegant and beautiful. She is watching the news 20 hot searches from Amiga ranking what is the Supernatural Research Institute, which actually ranks above the domestic and foreign official positions in the domestic and foreign affairs, and actually has the qualifications to manage domestic trends. There are a lot of comments under the hot search, the Supernatural Research Institute. Could it be said that the affairs of the ancient civilization era will be made public, and that mankind will be exposed to a new era? It's probably a special department that has control over the country, but I'm very curious about the head of this research institute. Who will it be? It should be a respected grandfather. After closing the phone, Ying Ziyue couldn't help but mutter to herself, it's a bit weird recently. High-level officials have started to pay attention to import and export instructions. They seem to be counting things. And now our import and export department has a new task, which is to cooperate with immigration bureaus, embassies of various countries, and carry out overseas Chinese, ethnic Chinese, and overseas Chinese record. It seems to be registering something. This afternoon is a Crimson Level 1 meeting. After the meeting, the Supernatural Research Institute came out. It's really weird. What is the country going to do? Ying Ziyue smiled, with a pair of beautiful eyes with a smile. Although she is the Minister of Import and Export, she prefers medicine, and of course she also has the unique curiosity of eating melons. Don't think about it. Maybe it's a major change in the country. I heard that this first level meeting was very good. It was conducted directly in top secret. No reporters were banned. It was completely blocked within 10 miles. After the meeting, everyone signed a confidentiality letter action. Ying Ziyue couldn't help but marvel. His position is quite high for some upper class people. He is a senior in the real estate department. He is mainly responsible for the development investigation of the area and the final review of the real estate point, but this is a first level conference. Only 10 people can be sent from a province. Those who participate in the conference are truly in high positions. On the sofa, watching her parents whispering, Ying Ziyue waved her hand helplessly point, but then he smiled at the corner of his mouth. Yes, it was indeed a big move. Next point, the boss's decisive and simple method surprised Ying Ziyue. The old man started to act as soon as he confirmed it. Point, this is in line with the power of this state apparatus, and now at least it has an attitude to counter disaster. Tonight will be a good night. The stars flickered, and the heat continued. Point, back in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of my bedroom, I opened the windows, and there was a hot breath. There was central air conditioning in the villa. Point, looking up, Ying Ziyue is wearing a loose black long gown. He stands in front of the French window, looking up at the bright moon and starry sky. Point, his gaze rises vertically from the Earth's surface, crosses the troposphere, stratosphere, middle layer, thermosphere, and exosphere. His gaze reaches the universe galaxy, and then he looks at this galaxy from the perspective of God in his mind. Point, like a pointer, the Earth began to revolve around the sun under the mass of the sun, which is the speed of light years, and then entered a dense galaxy. Point, as a result, the sunlight on the Earth began to be blocked, and the situation in the interior of the Earth once appeared in the Little Ice Age. Point, geological disasters occur, and various small natural disasters will occur again in the next 3 months. Retracting his gaze, as if from the perspective of a god, Ying Ziyue's figure stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, and he looked at this city that never sleeps gracefully, and even fiercely. Point, it is really a crazy thing to personally complete this plan with the family. Point, in the middle of the night, he began to fall asleep, because in the evening Zhao Guofeng sent a text message and went to meet at a certain military center in Yanjing at 8 o'clock tomorrow. It means the era confrontation action is on July 5th, 7:40 in the morning. Point, in the southern suburbs of Yanjing, this is a major military area. It used to be a special forbidden area for military parade exhibitions. Black iron plates are erected every 800 meters. Automatic surveillance cameras and a special team of 8 people all represent this place. The real military's own forbidden area. Point, across this mountain range, it is a huge, neatly manicured flatland. Half of the flatland is a garrison area, and half is a 3-meter high wall. The building is codenamed Supernatural Special Research Center. Supernatural Special Research Center. The center is divided into 10 buildings, which are 10 different academic buildings, including biology, geology, astronomy and starry sky, infrastructure and so on. Point, at this moment, in the living room of the listed building of infrastructure, Professor Qinghe Chenjiang, the head of Southwest Architecture Ma Chen, the president of NTU, and the group leader of the Jinling Earthquake Center. 10 people waiting quietly. They have been here for 2.5 days. In the past 2.5 days, Zhao Guofeng told them the content of the National Crimson Conference, and also told them that the next special research team leader will be responsible for the plan codenamed Era Confrontation. Now the official has finally given the news that the new leader of the Supernatural Special Research Center will appear today. This team leader will manage the National Academy, the national talent distribution, the distribution of scientific research institutes, and the next planning tasks. At this moment, these 10 well-known, influential, and prestigious professors and the dean are a little nervous. They tried their best to keep the empty hall standing elegantly. Brand new suits and tang robes. Clatter. It's exactly 8 o'clock. All 10 people kept their heads high at the same time, hoping to give the next group leader a good impression. Clatter. Clatter. The sound of crisp and steady footsteps sounded. At the same time, there was a clear and elegant voice resounding. Good morning, fellow scholars. Please introduce Ying Ziyue, Yangjing native, head of the Supernatural Research Institute, chief of Era Confrontation, chief designer of Snow Country Train. Welcome to join the Supernatural Special Research Group. Chapter 12. Bunches of sunlight shone into the hall, the empty hall with a hot breath. Some scholars are already wiping their sweat, such as the dean of Nanning University and Chen Jiang, the principal of Qinghe, also froze for a while. They have thought of many things. For example, the patriarch of the Special Research Center will be an old overseas Chinese professor who has learned a lot of money. For example, it will be the director of a very low-key research institute. No one has thought that it will be the young man in front of him. The young man standing gracefully, his broken short hair, pitch black eyes, and an unhurried posture all prove his extraordinariness. After all, he can maintain his aloof posture under the gaze of so many top scholars. Behind Ying Ziyue, Zhao Guofeng, who was in the figure of a brown bear, stood. At this moment, the talents are completely determined that the young people in front of them are really under 1 person and above 10,000 people who have the special research team leader who adjusts and distributes the domestic social dynamics. Go to the meeting room. Ying Ziyue spoke, and Zhao Guofeng led the way. This is the infrastructure building. On the walls are pictures of various infrastructure miracles from 5,000 years of history, from the relief patterned pyramids, to the Alfang Palace, the Great Wall, and the Old Palace. Chang'an City. There are also the Times Building of the Rose Country, the Leaning Tower of the Eagle Country, the tallest tower of Shanghai, the Cuban Buddha, etc. In short, these are all miraculous buildings in infrastructure. Walking along the corridor, looking at these infrastructure studies, Ying Ziyue seems to be in the history of infrastructure engineering, and then the infrastructure society as an indispensable means to counter disasters in 10 minutes. The building was on the 4th floor. The 4th floor was a conference room with full floor-to-ceiling windows. The sun was shining brightly. Ying Ziyue didn't have any resistance. He naturally sat in the first position indifferently. He witnessed the end of human history with his own eyes, and was also buried autonomously before the Ice Age. He has the insight and tolerance of transcending death. The elegant sitting posture and the sharp dark eyes let these professors and the president of the university know that the young man in front of him is really good. It is truly extraordinary means and courage to be able to be in a high position. Lieutenant Colonel Zhao contacted CCTV and started to send a news about the opening of a new industrial plan for our country and the issue of a return order for overseas students to return to China for a major task. Ying Ziyue spoke. In the meeting room, the expressions of the 10 professors began to change. We must know that this only happened in the early stages of the development of a major country. Call for the return of international students. These professors already knew that the special research group was for the special department of the Ice Age, but they didn't expect the team leader Ying Ziyue to be so decisive in the first method. Okay, team leader Ying. What about the other Chinese? Zhao Guofeng said. Both Chinese and Chinese have foreign identities and belong to foreigners, have a special contribution to the country before, or the family has a special contribution to enter, and the rest will be recorded first and see their choices. Ying Ziyue is very decisive, and the East now is different from the past. It is good. Calling. In less than 10 minutes, the news is projected on the conference room screen. This is the news that Weibo has almost posted together. Internal affairs officials call for special research office instructions. My country began to study the new industrial era. The special research team leader instructed that overseas students can return to China as soon as possible, and my country will provide treatment accordingly. Chinese people of Chinese descent who have contributed to their own country can also submit applications to join the return list. At the same time, Miga directly designated first. In just a few minutes, the comments have been close to 10,000. Fuck. What the hell do you want to call overseas Chinese to come back? I remember doing this only when we were in wars before. What if our country is doing it? Big powers will act, and big powers will be mighty. It's changed, and it's really going to change this time. Who is the leader of the supernatural special research team? Oh my god, can directly issue this kind of national level command. Those international students come back quickly this time. Our country is also undergoing rapid economic development. When you come here, Ken will find that our country has already grown bigger and stronger now. I only know that the sky is really going to change next. What construction plan does our country have to allow all the overseas students to return? A lot of comments. Crazy growth. Not only at this moment, but on foreign Twitter tubing. The embassies of various countries in our country also quickly issued statements. Twitter. Embassy of Rose Country. According to the Special Research Institute, my country will plan for a large-scale industry, and it is recommended that overseas students return to China for development. Northern Snow Country, Eagle Country, Embassy of each country, Kawasaki Country, Tsar. Starting from this day, the special research team called for instructions directly on the global hot search. At this moment, in the meeting room, Ying Ziyue just turned off the projection screen slightly. This is just drizzle. The drizzle of a big country. Leader Ying, do you really want to do this? Chen Jiang, the principal of Xihai, did not continue to say more. Ying Ziyue looked at the professor present with a complicated smile in her voice. This is this country's action against the blood of Yan and Huang. Next, the whole people must assist and fight against the disaster. Ying Ziyue didn't say much, taking the country as the main weapon. Then what's next? Chen Jiang, the principal of Xihai, seemed to realize something. The first level meeting is opened. The supernatural special research team appeared. The official directly and resolutely issued a statement in conjunction with the global embassies. Obviously this is the beginning of an overall fight against glaciers. Thinking of this, Chen Jiang couldn't help feeling a little trembling. He was 47 years old and had seen many genius youths, but at this moment he had not seen such a mysterious youth. Standing in a high position means decisive. And the layout is horrible. Chapter 13. In the conference room, there are floor-to-ceiling windows on all sides. Direct sunlight is warm and hot, but as the wind blows, there are already signs of rain. In the conference room, all 10 professors were surprised by Ying Ziyue's methods this time. Said that a global statement was issued directly, and the whole country cooperated. Now they all looked excited, and even looked at this young man nervously. Above the main position, Ying Ziyue's eyes were like torches, and she spoke quickly. You all know the content of the first level conference, so the next plan is not only the return of foreign students, but also the suspension of domestic imports and exports, and the suspension of real estate construction projects. Every time a word is said, several professors will breathe in cold air. This is a national transportation level plan. The plan is to gather all the labor force and start implementing the Snow Country train, new town and other dual plans. Ying Ziyue spoke again. What is the Snow Country train? Jinling earthquake team leader said blankly. Yangjing is the starting point to create a super high-speed train covering 23 provinces and every urban area. The train is 15 meters above the ground and covers any city in the country. This is the most complete train. Line is also the latest train. Qin Jiang, president of Xihai. Within 7 days, you and the Yanjing Research Institute will form a high-speed train experimental team. The team members must be professors and doctors of mechanics. The code name is the Snow Country Train Team. I will send you a detailed plan. Without the slightest hesitation, Ying Ziyue began to order. Good. Guarantee to complete the team formation. Chen Jiang nodded. Click. The screen projection is turned on again. This is a sketch of the Snow Country Train made by Ying Ziyue. Everyone saw the Snow Country Train from Ying Ziyue's mouth, traveling around the country. The tall Snow Country Train is a whole track. This train can pass through any city, can carry materials, and transport people, just like walking eastward. Like the dragon, majestic and majestic. Nan University President Chen Ke. Within 7 days, you will join the Yanjing School of Civil Engineering, Northwest Civil Engineering University, Agricultural University, and 5 other civil engineering and agricultural engineering universities to form a team of infrastructure and urban sciences. Your team's task it is to build a giant city, a brand new giant city. I will give you core talents and plans. Received. Chen Ke, the principal of Nanjing University, nodded. Click. The projection sketch is still switched. This is the territory of a big country, with mountains, rivers, and cities changed. The tall buildings outside the suburbs were all demolished. A giant silver barrier appeared around the suburbs, and some sort of isolation layer appeared outside the desert. It was so spectacular, as if every city had become a glacier. It was so spectacular. Chen Ke, the principal of NTU, and Chen Jiang, the principal of Xihai, couldn't help being shocked. Now basically the two teams have begun to form for the first time. The first is the initial establishment of the Snow Country Train Team. The second is the initial establishment of the Wind and Snow City Team, and then you only need to see the arrangement plan for the two teams and the special elites. Even if they are basically formed. Then Ying Ziyue began to arrange again. For example, Minister Ma of the Jinling Earthquake Center is tasked with surveying and mapping the address centers of the whole country, and then doing the mapping to circle the places where earthquakes have occurred in 5,000 years. For example, Qin Jiang, professor of geology in Hanzhou, was tasked with surveying the seas and borders of the whole country, and began to record soil quality. The remaining 6 are professors in 6 industries, namely top professors in chemistry, botany, physics, electricity, mechanics, clothing, and pulse device. Their task is to form a top academic team. And then the team is in the special research center. In short, after 7 days, there will be a team in every building of the supernatural special research center. In the morning, all of the professors were listening to the arrangements and assignments in the morning. At 11 o'clock in the morning, Ying Ziyue left, and the meeting room became hotter and hotter. The 10 professors finally looked at the plan, and looked at each other. All smiled bitterly. Building a new type of train that travels around the country? This is extremely costly. Chen Jiang smiled bitterly. There is also the formation of an infrastructure team. It seems that every city in the country has to be changed. Nanta President Chen Ke also nodded. Beside the conference room, Zhao Guofeng looked at everyone. He cleared his throat and spoke. Everyone, just perform your tasks. I can tell you clearly that you will see my country's industrial self-sufficiency in the future, and you will see more than 1 billion people doing one thing at the same time in this large and turbulent country. You will also see the great power of the nation. The West has long been making doomsday cards during the Cold War. Noah's Ark, Dungeon and other residences are normal doomsday cards. Now I'm also making doomsday cards in the East, which are the cards of more than 1 billion people. Zhao Guofeng, the deputy team leader, has a voice like a brown bear, and his face carries the pride of this country. The West is preparing for decades of trump cards, and the Tsar is also preparing. Northern Snow Country is also preparing, but Dongfang will let them know what is the real trump card. July 5th was a hot day. And it was also a day when the East once again entered into controversy in the world. Hundreds of Oriental embassies and hundreds of Oriental official accounts issued statements at the same time. At this moment, the dragon-like East has once again become the focus of attention, and the leader of the special research team has also become a hotly debated existence at the top of the world. Who is this person? What exactly does he want to do, or what great plan he is preparing? Chapter 14. July 5th. 2 o'clock in the afternoon Rose Country time point located at Kari College in Mars State. This is a well-known third-rate university point generally. Many students from poor countries come here to get a diploma. Of course, it also includes many Asians from the bottom of society point at this moment. In this university dormitory area, the simple 4-person dormitory is hot and dry and some are 2 whites and 2 Asians in the dormitory. We're both looking at the notebook in front of them point. The homepage is a voice from the Eastern Embassy. It is recommended that international students return to my country as soon as possible. Our country will start a great large-scale project, and others can provide help to prove their return point. Seeing this, the Asian Mark and the brothers couldn't help but shook their heads. I'm still here. Man couldn't help laughing wantonly. In the other bunks, Roommate White was also smiling. Yes sir, you should like it here. Why don't we shoot a video? Maybe we will get hot. Mean, a fat Asian man, said to his brother. Okay, brother. Mark played with the taste point. The white man picked up the camera point with a click. The two began a conversation. Point man said, "Got, I'll stay." Mark smiled instantly, and he also said, "Oh fuck, me too." Then the two nodded, and the white roommate stopped filming. Point then the two uploaded it to the oil pipe, and quickly caught up with the heat of the embassy's statement. Likes, subscriptions, and comments on this video are all rising rapidly. Point below the video is a curious message from Rose Country netizens. What a funny thing, these two guys have very violent personalities. Yes, there is a big action in the East, just like the previous high-speed rail. These overseas students are expected to go back as the heat increased. In the dormitory of Pheasant University, Mark and me clapped their hands excitedly for the dormitory bed. His white roommate couldn't help but subconsciously said, "Are you going back? I think this plan is great." After the white man spoke, Mark spoke directly. "God is above. I firmly believe that my choice is right." "Yes, so do I." Me also nodded firmly. Point at this moment, this scene is not a lot of Asians as for many international students and exchange students. International students and so on have begun to return to China. Point on Twitter, hot searches continue to increase. The current Eastern Yanjing time is 8 o'clock in the evening. In the Yulong No. 1 villa, Ying Ziyue is conceiving a plan for a chain of wind and snow in the afternoon, and he does not pay attention to the heat outside. Point sitting in the living room after eating, Ying Meo frowned with her mobile phone. Point this is a video someone got from Twitter and posted it to the domestic Mika. The title of the video is, "International Students Return. 2 people choose to stay." The video opened, and man's not so standard English sounded. "Oh fuck." Click. Point the video was paused, and comments on this video were extremely high, which triggered comments from domestic netizens. "It's really Tam. The next will be a great action development. We believe it. Yes, it must be great. These 2 people will regret it." Next, "We believe in great powers 100%. Unanimously unanimous." Netizens have exceptionally unanimous remarks. Turning off the video, Ying's mother also frowned. They can't estimate it. Now the entry and exit department has a new task, which is to start recording whether some people's identities are clean, and there are temporary records with stains. The state machine has started to operate. Although I don't know what the plan is, this time it is estimated to be small. These guys are afraid they will regret it. Ying Mu sighed. Ying Ziyue watched clearly beside him. He was hammering on the civil engineering sketches, continuing to simulate cold wave protection. Point at the moment he saw that hot video. Point he closed the computer gently, looked at his mother, and said with a smile, "Yes, they definitely won't be able to come in." Ying Mu gave Ying Ziyue an admiring look, saying that was comfortable. Point as for being aside, Ying's father also put down the newspaper and then spoke seriously. "I don't know what the special research team leader is going to do today. Tsinghua University, Nantou University, and the Civil Engineering University of Midnight have temporarily held emergency meetings. I don't know what the meeting is. Anyway, the top professors and doctors of these universities have been transferred away. It is said that some sort of screening is required, and I don't know what the screening is. These are all well-known professors." Ying Fu sighed. Not only these, the recent new instructions from the Ministry of Foreign Education seem to be issuing new instructions next. I don't know the specific content. Anyway, it is a huge import and export trade matter. Ying Mu couldn't help but gossip. It is estimated that the weather will change anyway, and the leader of the special research group is said to have a great background. He has an identity in the military, society, and foreign education department. Chang Sun stayed, and then he assigned a new task. Now the projects in all provinces have received an order to wait for new instructions, as well as factories. Ying Fu side point on the side of the sofa. Ying Ziyue's complexion was even dark point as it's so mysterious. You go to the bedroom for classes in the middle of the night. You can't listen to major national events. Ying Mu urged Ying Ziyue, and Ying Ziyue's face became even darker on the sofa. Then what are you going to do at the top? The Ministry of Foreign Education, universities, factories, engineering, high-speed rail trains have also received instructions, and the Cation Road Construction Migrant Workers Corporation has also received instructions to temporarily stop. What are they going to do? Is it to build large-scale projects, such as astronomical sky satellite technology? Ying Mu couldn't help but curious. You must know that this time the coverage is too wide. Basically, people's livelihood, sociology, and infrastructure are all covered. Ying Ziyue got up helplessly. He picked up his father's newspaper and glanced at it. July 2nd, there was an earthquake in Xihai morning. On July 4th, a magnitude earthquake occurred in the no man's land of Hanzhou, with radiation of 1.93 kilometers. On the morning of July 5th, a geographer detected signs of an eruption of an extinct volcano near the country. Putting down the newspaper, Ying Ziyue went back to the house point. If parents are curious about what the senior management is preparing, then Ying Ziyue's answer is for the next step, the next confrontation, the next survival. No civilians know that the current disaster is as small as dust. And the next disaster will be as magnificent as a galaxy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15. July 6th. Exactly 8 o'clock point on the Mika. A hot search airborne first point hot search title. Voice from the Embassy of Rose Country. This is a video. The content of the video is impressive. In the Embassy of Yanjing, two envoys from the country of roses are talking to the camera. The overseas students return to China. It seems that the East has a large-scale plan this time. It's really a great thing. This news is very hot, because after this news, the Rose Country, the Corn Country, and the Kawasaki Country all began to make statements. 8:10. The Rose Country Embassy once again spoke in English, expressing curiosity about the Eastern Project point. At 8:15, the automobile industry in Roseland announced that it would increase taxes on imports and exports of Asian countries and other companies by 35%. At 8:20, the Samsung industry in the Corn Country and the electronic entertainment industry announced that it would increase taxes by 40% on imports and exports of Asian countries. At 8:30, Kawasaki State Precision Instruments and Medical Equipment announced that they would increase tariffs by 50%. In the next half an hour, with the United States taking the lead, nearly 27 countries in Great West and nearly 200 of the world's top 500 have proposed tariff increases of more than 35% on the East Point Mega Hot Search. First, in the face of other tariff increases, the current special research team leader will deal with this economic situation. Talking about the internal affairs account, this is the first response from a senior official of Yanjing Point this morning. It was almost the same as the Cereal Bureau, raising tariffs. Comprehensive comments in this talk. Domestic netizens fry the pot. Under the current actions of major powers, this tariff seems a bit wrong, but I believe the Special Research Institute will handle it. I can't bear it anymore. Ask the special research team to start. Yes, the special research team said, we are born as a male, and I as a Yanhuang male. Ask to speak. Click point in the panoramic meeting room of the Special Research Group infrastructure building in the suburbs of Yanjing. This mega news trend appeared in the meeting room projection point with the projection turned off. At this moment in the meeting room sits Lin Ping, chief of the interior, whose grandfather is Lin Heng, who used to be an Air Force fighter during the ancient war. This is a real family background. so he is in a high position as the chief of the interior, and all the affairs of the country have to pass through his hands. A 40-year-old, middle-aged burly man, wearing a military academy of the army, exuded a burst of majesty. Chief Lin had long received news from number 1 that he was unconditionally cooperating with the leader of the special research team. Point boom. Lin Ping saluted and then took his seat. His eyes were also surprised. He didn't expect the legendary special research team leader to be so young. Point as the projection turned off, Lin Ping's face turned pale, and Xiao Guofeng, the deputy team leader beside him, also turned pale. These guys, they probably don't know what the next plan is. Xiao Guofeng said bitterly. Point in the main seat, Ying Ziyue was sitting. He had already arrived here at 6 o'clock, and now he was more sober seeing the news. Group leader, how to deal with it? Mr. Lin said, I wanted to stop importing and exporting a few days later, but it doesn't seem necessary now. Issued a statement to stop the import and export of the whole industry. Issued the second statement, began to record the identity of foreigners in our country, registered the comprehensive identity, and persuaded some foreign nationals to return to China. Ying Ziyue has always been a simple person. After he spoke, Lin Ping, the head of the interior, couldn't help but squinted his eyes. The eastern counterattack is a bit big this time. The methods of the special research team leader are really brutal. Received. Xiao Guofeng couldn't wait long ago. He nodded quickly. At 9:20 minutes, the third ring of Yanjing, known as the Western Style Street, is the first embassy with the flag of the Rose Country in the Western Style. Point at the moment in the embassy, the envoy of the Rose Country, Rawls, is wearing an elegant suit. In front of him is a Western reporter with a camera set up. He is talking to the camera. We are a great country, and we are curious about the plan of the East. Miles said lightly. Point suddenly, another resident messenger's expression was extremely complicated, and he ran in quickly. Myers, hurry up and open the news. Dongfang responded. Miles frowned. He only thought that the East had changed something this time. After all, this time it was a tariff increase of some companies around the world, which is equivalent to a small import and export blockade. This country will definitely not resist. Miles turned on the phone. It was 9:30 in the morning, and I saw that the foreign hot search on the Mega seemed to have stopped in an instant, and it seemed to be hit by some news with the golden official logo. The Supernatural Special Research Institute has spoken, at the request of the Special Research Team, for the next development of action. From now on, our country will stop import and export. Seeing this news, Miles was furious. Dongfang unexpectedly responded directly and closed the import and export trade, but he hardly had time to continue his anger, and the second article from the Special Research Team appeared. Supernatural Special Research Group, begin to record the identity of foreigners in our country, register the comprehensive identity, and persuade some foreigners to return to China. Point seeing the second talk, Miles' face changed completely. Damn, what the hell is Dongfang going to do? Miles was a little sluggish. He couldn't figure out what the country was going to do. Stop importing and exporting, and persuade him to return to his country. What is the current plan of the East? Damn it, what is the Oriental Special Research Institute? Miles said angrily. Point at this moment, the bigger hot search has completely exploded. First, the Special Research Institute speaks. Comment messages are as high as 100,000 in just 1 hour. The Special Research Institute is too good. It is crazy to close the import and export trade first. This time the country really has a big plan. Oh my god, I feel so good this time. I persuade him to return to China. The big action is probably about to begin. Great country. Soon Amiga military veteran left a message and was directly praised to the first place. Point Big V. The great power operation has begun. Chapter 16. The morning of July 6th is almost equivalent to a year of international news. The Rose Country took the lead in raising tariffs, and 200 companies in Western countries raised tariffs at the same time. Point import and export are temporarily suspended. Point import and export records of overseas students returning to China, and some foreign nationals are advised to return. Point this ruthless and popular method directly stunned the Western media. Point because the East has always been a symbol of hard work and a symbol of the golden mean point. All countries believe that the East will be the golden mean, and no one thought that this country would start to be tough. At noon point, the benefits of floor-to-ceiling windows on all sides of the conference room and the infrastructure building of the Special Research Center are here. Point, that is, any corner will be illuminated by the sun, and bunches of piercing sunlight will shine. And it is extremely warm, with the scent of the sun, that people can't help but fascinate. It is the warm taste. Point, unlike other people, Ying Ziyue enjoys this feeling sitting in the main seat. Point, at the moment, the meeting room is limping. The head of the interior, and Zhao Guofeng, the deputy leader. Outside the window, military vehicles are heading, and there are also large military trucks. The center of the Special Research Institute is 10 buildings, and each truck is pulling others. Academic professors, scientific research equipment, information books, etc. Point, this is a task Ying Ziyue arranged before, and that is to form 10 teams. Now it has started slowly, except for the Snow Country train, and Wind and Snow City. The remaining 8 teams are physics, chemistry, mechanics, biology, geography, infrastructure, history, and impulse. Wait for 8 teams. These teams will be one of the next scientific trump cards against the Glacier team. Point, withdrawing his gaze in front of Ying Ziyue, there were news projections one by one. Point, this is the news about the situation abroad after the Special Research team spoke. How is the return journey of the international students? Ying Ziyue asked. 1/5 of them are back. At present, every city from the police station to the community is recording foreigners. Since the Special Research team issued instructions, they have begun to persuade them to return. Zhao Guofeng said, very well, time is running out. I will persuade them to return to China within 3 days, and the overseas students must complete the return journey and have the embassy issue another call. 3 days later, the checkpoint will be temporarily closed. Ying Ziyue said, this is a dead order, because 10 teams will be formed next, and the whole country will carry out the era content plan. Point, it will be a super magnificent project at that time, and what we need to do now is to unite, be confident, and unite these billions of people. Receive. Zhao Guofeng nodded, and he quickly called the embassy center to continue arranging orders. 1 p.m. the 17 embassies in the west spoke again. Point, Oriental Embassy, the Special Research team once again expressed the hope that the international students will return to China as soon as possible to support development. Next, due to planning reasons, the border will be temporarily closed. Point, at this moment in the afternoon, the enthusiasm on the extranet was even higher. Many Rose Country netizens began to comment, God, what are they going to do? It looks grand and formal. Oh my god, I can only say that it was too urgent. It feels like a huge project is about to begin. The comments were filled with various voices. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, at the Jiashan airport in Rose Country, inside a passenger plane flying to Yanjing. This is an exchange student returning home. At the moment, in the passenger plane, there are all foreign students. There are 200 people in total. At this moment, some of these 200 people are looking at mobile news and airliner news with complex expressions. According to Dongsh News, the Oriental Special Research Group announced that the import and export trade has ceased, and at the same time it began to record the population in the country and successfully persuade them to return to China. Here is the Rose Country Global Geographic News. At present, nearly 100 countries including the Rose Country, Kawasaki Country, Corn Country, Northern Snow Country, and So have signed the Economic Alliance Agreement and decided to continue to raise tariffs. There is a lot of news. This is the news that the Rose Country officials broadcast on the passenger plane. They do not block students from studying abroad, but broadcast this kind of news to interfere with students' choices. I have something else. I will stay first. I have a green card. A tall young man in the first row stood up and spoke. Yes, I have something to do, and I stayed too. A student in the second row also spoke. One after another, the passenger plane did not take off, and nearly 1/3 of the students had already gotten off. In the last row, this is Chen Bei, a top student of the Massachusetts Department of Infrastructure. He is sitting quietly, surrounded by students trying to pull him. Chen Bei, go down, don't go back yet. Yes, you are studying here now. Here is in line with your development. Stay. In front of Chenbei, the two friends couldn't help but persuade. I'm an orphan, and I'm funded by the state. A prestigious school sent me to Massachusetts. The state has called for me. Of course I will go. Chenbei dressed very plainly, his voice was powerful and firm. Okay, the other friend said helplessly, and then got off the passenger plane. In 2 hours, there were only 80 of 200 people left. After the passenger plane took off, Chenbei looked out the window with a firm voice. We never regret it. At this moment, scenes like this are happening all over the world. Eastern embassies are happening all over the world, and every city in the world. Some chose to be patriotic, some chose to stay in the West temporarily. At 7 o'clock in the afternoon, Yanjing Airport, Ying Ziyue carried her hands on her back, and Zhao Guofeng, who was in the figure of a brown bear, stood behind him. An international student came back at the airport and then began to accept registration. Ying Ziyue looked at this scene with a complicated expression. There were also foreigners who were persuaded to return home and were on the plane. Many people were taking pictures in this scene. How do you feel? This time is your first plan. Zhao Guofeng smiled and said, as a soldier, he likes Ying Ziyue's harsh and simple methods. The border is closed after 3 days, and those people will no longer be able to come in. At the same time, our country will also conduct a grade record. We want to make the whole people work together to carry out the era confrontation plan. I just want to say, congratulations to these people, they made the right choice. Ying Ziyue held her hands back gracefully, and he watched those overseas students smile at the corners of their mouths. The natural disasters in the next 3 months will kill some people, and then the cold wave will make others desperate. When the Ice Age arrives, those who stay abroad will know how strong the Snow Country train project is. Chapter 17. July 6th, 8 o'clock in the evening. This is the 4th day of the Great Power Plan. Yanqing is still hot, and it is still the same at night. On the balcony of Yulong Villa, Ying Ziyue shook his glass. Inside was a glass of homemade raspberry wine, shaking ice cubes, and the taste was amazing. In the living room, the parents were still discussing the closure of the entrance and exit. As for Ying Ziyue, she scratched mobile news at will. Mika, at present, foreigners in the first-tier cities of Dongguan have successfully persuaded them to return to China. 95% Hebei waits for the blockade line to be opened, and the checkpoint is closed. Currently, domestic airliners will be closed soon. This is the power of the great powers. On the bustling streets of Yanjing now, there are a lot fewer people. Inside, Ying Ziyue already had judgment in her heart as she watched the heat at the moment. It is getting hotter and hotter. The average temperature on July 6th is at 8 o'clock in the evening on the 6th of July in the Gregorian calendar. The average temperature on July 1st is now at 36 degrees. This is the average temperature. Reached more than 40 degrees. The international news at the moment is also divided into 2 types. Half is the plan of the curiosity of the East, and half is the news of geological disasters around the world. At that time, Yanjing was a city that never sleeps. Thousands of years ago, it was also called Yandu, Yaozhou, Dadu, Jingxi, and Jingzhou. At that time, there were various historical records. The stars were like buckets, and the galaxy was like the moon. Now the smog, the ozone layer is destroyed. The dense galaxy is hot at the last moment. No one sees a certain kind of dust hindering the direct radiation of the Earth. The heat now is only the last heat, and there will be no heat afterwards. Only the endless extreme cold wave will remain. In the dark night, Ying Ziyue fell asleep. At 6:30 in the morning. He woke up early and waited early for a red flag car on the street outside the community. This is a bulletproof vehicle of the boss, which can prevent the straight-range bombing of the rocket launcher. It has extremely terrifying defensive power. The car drove directly to the Supernatural Special Research Center. Ying Ziyue gave an order before the 10th to complete the plan for the foreign population, to persuade them to return to the country. Import and export processing. 10 teams must be formed and complete operations after the 10th. At 6:50, in the conference room of the infrastructure building. This time the conference room is Linping, the head of the interior, and Yanseng, the head of the foreign affairs. His grandfather was also an Air Force during the anti-Japanese war. His surname was Yan, and his name was kept secret by the military point in the meeting room. As soon as Ying Ziyue sat down, Deputy Team Leader Xihai City quickly spoke with the report. Leader Ying, you are the disaster that began to be predicted on July 2nd. Now on July 3rd, a northern glacier scientific research team discovered that the magnetic field under the 5,000 meter Arctic glacier fluctuated strangely. Subsequently, the glacier cracks continued to cause the sea to rise and cause a tsunami. At present, 7 intermediate tsunamis have occurred in 7 regions of the northern snow country, causing more than 700 people to be missing. Also, Jaka, a global volcanologist, said that the world's extinct volcanoes are showing signs of life fluctuations again. In addition, the statistics of my country's seismic belts have been completed, and the seismic center has combined your data. We believe that a series of pre-glacial geological disasters will occur next. Anyway, time is too late. Please start. Xihai City saluted suddenly with a solemn voice. Leader Ying, please order to do it. We will perfectly cooperate with you. The internal and external leaders said at the same time, then start, and from now on, the highest level of official orders will stop our factories, real estate, and foreign factories, and start sub-regional production of industrial systems. Ying Ziyue opened the sketch, while talking point this is a truly miraculous self-sufficient scale of the industrial system. At present, a large number of vegetables are grown in the north, and ecological underground greenhouses and underground ecological gardens are built. At the same time, underground storage bases are built to produce dried vegetables and vacuum vegetables. Agricultural food is guaranteed here. The south relies on iron ore. The previously stored crude oil has opened up iron factories and machinery factories. At the same time, they have begun to use stock cotton to make special warm cotton clothing. Steel and cotton clothing are guaranteed here. As for Jiangnan and other places, they are special instrument factories and scientific research institutes. They mainly carry out the cold-proof pulsation device of the Ice Age, the huge underground temperature insulation layer, and the batch design of Supertech temperature insulation technology. Then there are more than 1 billion labors in other regions. Urban planning. Every province has goals, and almost everyone needs to use it. It will even temporarily enter the era of collective cauldrons. This is a sketch. When the sketch appeared, Xihai City's eyes were shocked. According to the development of our country, there is also the previous storage of grain and crude oil. There is absolutely hope that it can be achieved. Very well. I really hope to see this era of nationwide construction in the future. Foreign Minister Yan Kangqiang couldn't help but look at Ying Ziyue with some excitement. He once personally led a province to become the number 1 in GPD, naturally knowing how strong this industrial system revolution will be once it is established, announced. Xihai City quickly called point at this moment. The majestic sketch appeared here, almost excited the inside and foreign ministers, and witnessed the completion of this miraculous construction by more than 1 billion people, which is simply shocking. July 7. This day is the International Public Health Day, the Kixi Festival, and the Lulagao Anti-Japanese Day, and it is also the first national day of unemployment promulgated by the East. July 7th 10 o'clock in the morning. Official platforms such as Mika, Zhou, Taoxiao, etc. The 3 top official accounts of the Internal Affairs account, the External Affairs account, and the Special Research Team issued an announcement statement at the same time, determined by the Special Research Institute and internal and external departments. From now on, real estate will be temporarily suspended, overseas work will be suspended, ordinary work will be suspended, factories will be suspended, and shops will be temporarily suspended. Launching a large-scale infrastructure project will enter a new chapter and a new era in my country. At 10 o'clock, under the joint talk of the 3 major departments, not only the people, but all the major platforms are going crazy. The people were completely excited at this moment, but everyone believed in this country. Mika, headlines, and a lot of comments, because since this statement, the factory has stopped, all kinds of work have stopped, and netizens have left messages one after another. Oh my god, I'm so excited. The whole people are waiting for jobs, entering the great era. Oh my god, I believe in the country, and I know what to do next. Must be a particularly great shock. The great era is coming. Chapter 18. 11 o'clock. On the day of July 7th, Wanda Mall was temporarily closed, and shopping malls in every city were closed. Point in front of the 10 buildings of the Supernatural Special Research Institute. The equipment of the scientific research teams of each team arrived one after another in the conference room of the infrastructure building. The Minister of Internal and External Affairs is still looking at the sketch. Point no one knows how far our country's grain has been stored. No one knows how many underground strategic reserve bases my country has built. Point no one knows that starting from the first level order from Yanjing, every province, every municipality, and every factory in the country are changing. Ying Ziyue was sitting in the main seat. He was holding his mobile phone and downloaded a DAO shall of broadcast at will. The titles of these live broadcasts have changed. Live broadcast Wanda will be closed within an hour. How strong is the red level command of the major powers? This is a travel anchor. At this moment, his live broadcast location is impressive in the mall. The anchor is called Bai. At this moment, he has a beard and shouts to the screen, "Brothers, have you seen it?" 1 point. This is a Wanda Plaza on the northwestern border. Now the mall is closing. This is the power of the country. In the footage shot by the anchor, shops in the mall quickly closed. Point the security began to lock the door, and the traffic police on the street were dealing with the chaotic road in an orderly manner. This is Eastern Power. I turned off the live broadcast at random, and Ying Ziyue looked at other live broadcast platforms again. Point almost every title is no longer protecting the little brother, but a brand new defense of the country and obedience to the organization. Come and see from all over the world. This is Jinling. Here is 100% obedience to the organization. The East is invincible. The Xihai City factory was closed within an hour of the live broadcast. The power of the great powers. We are all children of the great powers. Till now, thousands of shops in Wansheng are closed at the same time. Nothing else is to believe in the country. The title of the live broadcast shows the ultimate cohesion of our people at this moment. Close the live broadcast and open a certain tone, a certain headline, and meager again. Point in these short videos of high traffic software, all netizens filmed and released, Eastern Force. The titles of these short videos are even more shocking. Within an hour, I saw 100 factories with thousands of people closed. Great power. From now on, Ma Liangcheng is all waiting for employment. Clatter. Point call. Ying Ziyue let out a long sigh. At this moment, if someone asks him, why would he join the family and fight the disaster with all the power of the whole country, then this is the answer. This is the real Yanhuang man. The descendants of Yanhuang. The bones break the meat. Unite. At this moment, in the embassy of Rose Country in Yanjing, in the Western style Elk style conference room, there is silence. Point there are 4 people in the conference room. Namely the envoy of the Kawasaki country embassy in kimono, the envoy of the Corn country, the envoy of the Rose country, and the envoy of the Eagle country in a black tuxedo. Point the 4 people were sitting in the conference room, as if they were celebrating at the moment. The order of the Special Research Institute is really terrible. It actually made this country unemployed. Real estate, factories, and shops stopped. The Rose Country ambassador Miles was smiling. Yes, there is no country where all the people can get jobs. You know what their great plan is? The Kawasaki country ambassador also agreed. Point. But in less than 10 minutes, the 2 soldiers knocked on the door quickly with serious expressions. Report to the major. We just received diplomatic news. That is to persuade the foreign embassy to return home. The soldier reported. The 4 people in the conference room looked livid. Someone turned on the phone and their expressions changed again. Point headlines. Private short videos. Almost they are concerned about the social platforms of the East, and they are all supporting them at the moment. Got. They are supporting the order of the Special Research Institute and the decision of this country. God, this is impossible. Miles couldn't help but smile wryly. The people in the East all support the decision of the great powers. The great god of Yaki is here, and the people in the East support the official decision. They are really going to retreat. The envoy of the Kawasaki country was pale, and at this moment he felt that the situation had changed beyond this. What is this country doing? Why are the people of this country so full of power? Starting on the morning of July 7th, the media was recording, and the public was recording. Real estate development stopped, and all trucks, mixers, tower cranes and other construction materials were all recorded and arranged in one place, waiting some kind of dispatch point in terms of transportation. Trains and high-speed rail stopped, leaving only planes and buses. All train workers and high-speed rail workers were waiting for employment. They all received only the highest official news. That is, they will carry out the greatest engineering plan in history. Foreign embassies are also being successfully persuaded to return to the country. Passenger planes have begun to fly away, and fewer passenger planes are flying into this big country point at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The Yanjing Special Research Institute, the infrastructure conference room. Ying Ziyue stayed here all the time. He witnessed the action of the great powers, and gave orders for the action himself. Report to the leader of Ying. The Foreign Education Department is negotiating, and guarantees that foreigners will persuade him to return to China before the 10th. At the same time today and tomorrow, we can completely complete the waiting for jobs for all people, and ensure that all people will carry out this era contest plan before the 10th. The report is complete. Please indicate. The deputy team leader Zhao Guofeng saluted. He now admires Ying Ziyue's harsh methods. The descendants of Yan Huang have one mind, so let them wait for work with peace of mind. From now on, the whole army will be stationed in all provinces and municipalities. Supermarkets will receive vegetables per capita. Grain depots and vegetable depots will be opened. Within these 3 months, the northern region will begin to spare no effort to store food, dried vegetable. It's time, and it's time for the people, to see how strong our country is. Many people probably forget that the titles of industrial country, agricultural country, and development giant are not a guise. Ying Ziyue said, he has this confidence, and this country also has this confidence. Now that the import and export are stopped, he can take the next step wholeheartedly. Now that there is a united mind, the rope is twisted into one, and more than 1 billion people have only one common goal, and the whole country can fight against the disaster. Chapter 19. On July 7th, a lot of things happened on this day, and the whole people were waiting for jobs. Foreign embassies persuaded them to return, and foreigners were persuaded to return. The news continues to explode, and curious people are speculating about various possibilities, or guess what the country will do next. Bright as jade, in the living room of Villa Yanjing No. 1, Ying Ziyue has just finished eating with his parents. And now he still has the impression of a good schoolboy sitting on the sofa with a laptop on his legs. This is DSDD drawing software. Above the software is the conceptual drawing and design plan of the Snow Country train. As the chief designer, Ying Ziyue is making design drawings and steps every night. As for the parents, the two of them are drinking scented tea and then eating melons. Yingmu held her mobile phone and couldn't help sighing. It's really going to change. Do you know that now the import and export department has basically stopped, and it will become the provincial transportation department, saying that it is to prepare for a huge train. In the future, our task will no longer be to review the import and export trade, but to manage the train's transportation records and train number records. What train? Father Ying asked curiously. I don't know. This is a top secret plan. Only the top few people know about it. In short, the first part of this country's big plan is related to a huge train. I checked the information and knew that this train would be terrifying, as if it would involve the whole country. Moreover, foreigners in various provinces are now persuading them to return to China. This time the country's order is very large, and the team leader of the Special Research Institute is very powerful. Yingmu couldn't help but praise. On the sofa, Ying Ziyue didn't hear it at all, and continued to maintain the image of a good boy and a bully. Your import and export has stopped, and our real estate review department has also stopped. Now our department has changed its name. Guess what it is called? It is now called Lian Huancheng No. 2 Department. Our department seems to be responsible for the next factory, construction materials, and personnel allocation. I analyzed it, and there will really be a big move next, or one thing the whole people will do. Yingfu has a falcon-like thinking, and he can quickly analyze what he is going to do next from just one thing. This is Yingfu's ability. Ying Ziyue spent the night listening to his parents eating melons. He looked at the bright moonlight After his eyes rose from the surface, there was more carbon dioxide and many kinds of masking gases, so that he couldn't see the bright moon now. This is a small-scale volcanic eruption around the world. The fire burns, and then the carbon dioxide is insufficient. For example, the weather is no longer extremely hot, but sultry. This means that the Earth is about to enter a dense galaxy. Small-scale disasters are breaking out, and the last sultry heat begins. Mingyue can't be seen clearly anymore. This time it is not only the second ice age, but also an evolution of the Earth. The night came as scheduled. Guangcheng as a first-class city in the south. This city has many foreigners at this moment. Here has changed. Officials, the community united, and in response to the order of the Special Research Institute, teams of people began to appear. The small hotels and villas in this city were all being persuaded to return to China. In the middle of the night, foreign friends are also being persuaded to return to China in other cities. Midnight until early in the morning, and then until 6 in the morning. The walking old man got up and found that many foreign friends had been persuaded to return to China. Starting early in the morning, news headlines appeared on major forums. All expats from Guangcheng were persuaded to return to China. This time the national action is very big. I like it for the big country. As for Zihou, all the problems have also appeared. Zihou, the questioner, in white, asked the question, what is the great power plan? Are you curious about the West? Many netizens answer questions. Our plan is bound to be huge. Next is the national action. After persuading them to return to China, then they can start a big action in unity. July 8th, a brand new day. Because many people have discovered that the Great Eastern countries are all compatriots. Chapter 20. July 8th, 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun is shining, and the sun rises as a snow country train. The chief designer of Xihai City, Ying Ziyue, was relaxed before the 10th. Now 10 teams are being formed, and the officials are pursuing a major cleaning. Instead, these 2 days are his most leisure time. My parents have already gone to work. At present, except for public officials, almost all of them have gone to work. There is a lot of domestic news at present. In the living room, Ying Ziyue was lying on the sofa, watching the news on the phone. The first is Twitter after the wall. Hot searches on Twitter represent the attitude of the West. Eastern persuaded him to return to the embassies of various countries. What is the large-scale infrastructure plan of the East? Currently, the Rose Nation Suppression Alliance has announced that it will not go. Turning off the news, Ying Ziyue never hesitated. He called Zhao Guofeng directly. The next step is very simple, starting with the layout of number 2. The important export trade. See East, the foreigners persuaded him to return to the country to complete. The foreign embassy has already persuaded him to return to his country and leave. Individuals with yellow faces chose to stay in the West. The registration of the basic power arrangements is complete. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Ying Ziyue opened the MEGA, which was the release time. He told the deputy team leader Zhao Guofeng July 8th at 10 o'clock in the morning. MEGA. Internal and external, Special Research Institute. Let me talk about it. Ying Special Research Institute, the national plan has begun. From now on, no one can enter, because of the blockade of major powers. Simple and straightforward. The people in the East are looking forward to such resolute remarks in the travel software and the air ticket software. The planes to various countries were directly suspended, and troops stationed at the border from the beginning of the release. Dong Fang really began to close the door. The message was exploding. Ying Ziyue turned off the phone. And the first step, closed and locked, was finished, and then the whole country's disaster layout was the next step. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Ying Ziyue had been busy with the simulation map of the snow country train in the geography building of the Special Research Institute. Today is also the time to assign tasks to the geography team. This time he chose the location of the conference room in the geography building. The geography building is located in the third building of the Special Research Institute. It is 4 stories high. This is also the building of the geography team. At this moment, there are only equipment in the hall. In addition to the chief of the house, there is also the chief professor of Northwest Geography Zhang Aguo. He is 69 years old. The top geography professor is also the captain of the geography team. Walking in the hall, Ying Ziyue looked at the corridors. These are relief sculptures with amazing geography. There are world islands from the Arab League and the Middle East. These are islands in the ocean. From the perspective of God, these islands are like every country, and there is the largest B-15 iceberg in Antarctica. Point Mount Everest, the Alps, the Great Rift Valley, semi-Tibetan Mansland, giant basins, the largest trench in history, and so on. Point the reliefs on the corridors of the geography building are all miraculous features of global physical geography, and the construction of the wind and snow. Chain City involves geography. Point. After walking into the conference room, Chen Guo, the geography team leader, couldn't help but give Ying Ziyue a surprise look. Point in the domestic news, the global impression of the leader of the special research team is that he is fierce and decisive, and he is the Lion of the East, but no one thought that the leader is a handsome young man exuding an academic atmosphere. Point sitting in the conference room, Ying Ziyue looked at several people. Zhao Guofeng, deputy head of the Geographical Organization and Special Research Institute, and 2 ministers inside and outside. A total of 4 people. Point under the staring gaze, Ying Ziyue spoke. Do you know what is the precursor to entering the Ice Age? Ying Ziyue asked. Point Chen Guo, the geography team leader, quickly said, global warming. Arctic glaciers begin to melt. Cold water flows toward low latitudes in the Atlantic Ocean. The world's largest warm current is blocked, and then high and low latitude energy exchange. High latitude areas become colder, glaciers thickened, and glaciers. The century is coming. Chen Guo, a professor of geography, is extremely quick in analysis, and has extremely high academic ability. Yes, there are also earthquakes, as well as the submarine volcanoes and extinct volcanic eruptions analyzed by the Seismic Center of the Research Institute before. Zhao Guofeng also said. Point Clatter knocked on the table lightly. Ying Ziyue nodded and rejected them all. It is the beginning of a global disaster. The earthquake will occur in the previous seismic zone. The degree of destruction will be relatively small. It will be a global extinction. The world will become extremely warm and dry. The ocean will begin to be oxygen free. The sun will be blocked. The overwhelming glaciers will thicken, and blizzards. Strong wind, gathering cold waves. Ying Ziyue only said halfway, and the faces of the few people present became completely solemn. So you should understand the era confrontation. Second plan. The snow country train will run around every city in our country. It can transport materials and people, but you now know what a glacial wind and snow chain city is. For the first time, Ying Ziyue officially disclosed the plan of the wind and snow chain city. Point for the high-rise building in number 1. It was after the snow country train that the city was linked by snow and wind, because the city construction plan was really magnificent. Point at this moment, with Ying Ziyue's proposal, the eyes of all the people in the conference room were piercing, and they were extremely excited. Every province in our country will build 5 wind snow chains with a population of tens of millions. These cities must be located in inland areas. The cities form a triangular arch pattern. The task of your geographic team is to select sites, and then calculate materials. I'll provide the plan and city plan. Click. Ying Ziyue said, turning on the projection at the same time. Point this is the first color draft made by Yanjing. This is a truly majestic giant city with a population of 20 million. Within 400 to 500 kilometers of the giant city, giant trees are planted every 100 kilometers, and then 30 miles away from the giant city is a huge silver self-warm steel barrier. The huge barrier is like a city wall. Point as for the city, there are underground storage warehouses, an ecological park with clean white pulsating floor heating devices, and a fully retractable and enclosed giant city double isolation glass layer. It is spectacular, and one by one high-tech isolation technology is activated outside the city, exuding silver light. This is a multi-pulse device, a giant temperature insulation cloth device. Point then the color sketch is reduced, and this time it is even more shocking. This is a global color picture. Point the earth has completely turned silvery white. The west has become white snow. The Statue of Liberty has become an ice sculpture, and the high-rise buildings in the west have been buried by snow. As if they have become glaciers. Only in the east stands a towering giant city of blizzards. Spectacular, sacred, great. Point in the meeting room, the geography team leader Chen Guo personally bowed to Ying Ziyue. He vowed to build this scene, even if the life was so desperate. Chapter 21. On the afternoon of the 8th, Ying Ziyue was accompanied by the deputy team leader and the head of internal and external affairs. He was visiting the progress of the Supernatural Special Research Institute. The boss is responsible for stabilizing the overall situation. The internal and external ministers handle internal and external affairs, and Ying Ziyue is responsible for the layout and issuing of orders behind Ying Ziyue. Zhao Guofeng spoke quickly. At present, in addition to the train team and the infrastructure team, the remaining 8 academic teams have been selected in various universities and scientific research institutes, and they can be formed before the 10th. A total of 45 underground grain storage warehouses in the north have been opened. At the same time, my country's import and export are purchasing the last batch of crude oil. Grain purchases will be completely stopped. The southern factory is currently unemployed, and nearly 200 million workers can go to major factories at any time. The Glacier Scientific Research Institutes in Nanjiang have started, mainly for high-tech isolation layer technology, and the preparations for personnel are now complete. Zhao Guofeng simply reported 3 points. Namely, the free supply of the industrial system, and then the free production of isolation layer technology. Ying Ziyue nodded. Everything went normal. On this day, Dongfang closed the border checkpoints one after another. The last oil tankers also stopped and returned, and the ocean-going fishing boats also returned. Border of Rose Country, Mars Checkpoint Center. This is a border hall, which is mainly the transportation checkpoint for materials from various countries. At this moment, the governor of Mars of the Rose Country, Eric, has a complicated expression. He is frowning. In front of him, the border recorder is reporting, Mr. Governor, the eastern oil tankers, passenger planes, and cargo ships are all evacuating, including the embassy. The recorder submitted a list. Governor Eric looked at the list, with a hint of confusion in his golden pupils. This is a real evacuation of the east, not only from the Rose Country, from the northern snow country, from the prairie country, from the Tsar, and the tankers carrying the Oriental logo are all evacuating. This is a real national evacuation. Improve crude oil prices for all states. Governor Eric said. You must know that the world's first crude oil producing place is the United States, the second is the Middle East, and then other countries such as Northern Snow Country and the Tsar. Mr. Governor, since July 2nd, the East has increased its crude oil scale. Now all the crude oil from the Middle East and other countries has been purchased. 1/3 of my country's crude oil this year has been transported to the East. The recorder spoke again. An anger flashed across Governor Eric's face. It is not surprising that a large amount of crude oil has been purchased. The East itself is the largest consumer of crude oil. However, in this case, the East has evacuated everything, giving them a curious sign. For this ancient and mysterious country, the West is now very curious. What about the engine? Eric asked, knowing that the United States is also a major exporter of aviation engines. Eastern has stopped purchasing aero engines. Some of them once said that this kind of power is too small and it is completely unnecessary to use. What the hell do they need to use, and how big the engine needs to be? We must know what the great aero engine is. Number 1 in the world. The recorder is a white man. But now this white recorder is a bit skeptical about life, what the East is going to do, or what new technology they have. They actually gave up the purchase of aero engines. What else has been purchased in high quantities? Eric growled, and he continued to ask, food from the Eagle and other countries, as well as precision medical equipment from the northern snow country, and ore from the Philippines. All of these were urgently purchased before the 2nd, and the quantity was 3 times that of last year. The recorder said, what the hell is this country going to do? Governor Eric couldn't help frowning. He really couldn't figure out what the country was going to do. Clean up foreigners and close borders. Pangasaki State Bearing Corporation, a diplomatic company, which is a Fortune 500 bearing company in the world, belongs to Kawasaki State Precision Instrument Company. At the moment in the meeting room, the head of the Asia Pacific region, Koteichiro, was in the meeting room with a solemn expression. He was wearing a suit and then bowed to everyone. Damn it, Dongfang has stopped its bearing contract with us. What this country is going to do, the world has only we in Northern Europe can make this kind of precision instrument. Yes, sir, not only the bearings, but also the medical equipment. Koteichiro waved his hand helplessly, knowing that Kawasaki has mastered high-end medical equipment and bearing technology point. But on this day, the East almost opened the map cannon to the world and directly stopped all cooperation. Bagger. On the 8th day, my country's oil tankers and freighters returned point at 8 o'clock in the evening. The official reporter captured this great scene through aerial photography. Xihai City, Xihai City, and Qinghangdao are cities, and so on, where there are harbors near the sea. Oil tankers are docked, and large trucks begin to pick up cargo. For example, by the Liaohe Chunfeng harbor, all cargo ships docked within 100 miles. There are a lot of special minerals, high-end medical equipment from northern snow country, and special plant materials. Aerial photography captured a miraculous scene. The horror of my country's ocean freight power. The tanker docked on the coast and the warship began escorting patrols. The border checkpoints have also begun to be completely closed, and military regions are stationed point at the airport. A cargo plane quickly landed at the airports of various provinces across the country, and then large trucks began to pull to specific warehouses on this day. Dongfang stopped foreign purchases. The sea borders, land checkpoints, and sky borders are closed at the same time. In a sense, the giant eastern country has entered a state of lockdown. Glacier Chronicles. Starting from July 8, 2030, the Oriental Special Research Institute and the Internal and External Affairs have spoken at the same time. The land, ocean, and sky border checkpoints have been closed, and since then, the East has been closed to the country. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22. It is night. Night on the 8th point. This is the Supernatural Special Research Institute. Now Ying Ziyue has moved to the Special Research Institute. As the chief designer of Snow Country Train and the chief of Geo and Confrontation, Ying Ziyue wants to sit here. Point opposite the academic building on the 10th floor is a row of 2-story villa rest areas. The facilities are top notch and the environment is elegant. It is a resting place for specialized scholars. A team member will also live here. Point the dark night, the bright moon flickers, and now the Earth's changes have begun. For example, when watching the bright moon with an astronomical telescope, you will see a layer of vague fog. This is the carbon dioxide layer of volcanic eruption, ushering in the lack of oxygen in the ocean. A large number of sea creatures die, and then the sun will be covered, and the temperature will drop sharply. Starting from the surface, a sultry air that gradually increased and swept across the world. The West is also observing the North and South poles. They only saw the melting of icebergs and the eruption of volcanoes. These and other signs are connected more like billions of years. Red giant star. At 6:30 in the morning, Ying Ziyue got up as the top level. Now he keeps exercising every day. Half an hour of running and aerobic exercise. Ying Ziyue had breakfast at the restaurant of the Special Research Institute at 7 o'clock. At 7:30, the meeting time every day, the meeting room of the Geography Building, the Minister of Internal and External Affairs, the Geography Organization Chen Guo, and the Deputy Team Leader Zhao Guofeng arrived on time. Clatter. Ying Ziyue tapped the table lightly, and the floor-to-ceiling windows of the conference room were covered with maps of global geology. Ying Organization. This is the news of Western scientific research today. Zhao Guofeng said. He quickly projected the news, and then a piece of news appeared in front of everyone. Twitter. Rose Country News. Professor Marlowe, a scientific researcher from Bixu State, claimed that the B-15 fractured glacier is in a stage of continuous melting, and it cannot be ruled out that the Earth will enter an era of sustained high temperature next. Some astronomers speculate that perhaps after hundreds of thousands of light years, the sun enters the era of red giant stars. And now it is just a process, and the high temperature of the Earth is a manifestation. There is a lot of news, mainly about the eruption of volcanoes in the United States in 7 weeks, the melting of Arctic glaciers, and the continued high temperatures. This phenomenon has led many professors to speculate that the era of red giants will come in billions of years. This is the catastrophe of the world. before it comes, so the professor will make a mistake in predicting it, and it will make everyone ignore what red giant star, what extremely hot weather. Nature deceived everyone. Xiao Guofeng smiled bitterly, if not Ying Ziyue's comprehensive analysis of geography, astronomy, biology, and dating back 1 million years, the Oriental Research Institute is afraid that it will also believe that it is the era of the red giant point, because no one can think that this will be the Ice Age, and no one can even think that it will be terrifying and sultry before the Ice Age point clatter with the sound of pacing. Ying Ziyue stood up. He looked at the crowd with a solemn expression, and his obsidian-like pupils shot across the audience. Everyone, the seclusion of the country has begun, and now there are 81 days before the Ice Age. As the chief officer, I officially welcome you all, and start the era of national resistance. Ying Ziyue spoke, and then he bowed to indicate that this was a courtesy, and it represented the unity of the united spirit, and going all out. After Ying Ziyue spoke, Chen Ping, Minister of Internal Affairs, Minister Yan, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Internal Affairs, and Xiao Guofeng bowed at the same time. Leader Ying, please give an order. This time is to fight for the national fortune. Chen Ping, the head of the interior, bowed. This represented a dedication and death. Everyone knew that several people in this conference room would represent the people of the whole country. It also means this victory or defeat. Resolutely and resolutely, Ying Ziyue is decisive. His hands are like knives, and he walks to the map hanging in front of the French window, and then speaks while making signs. A strategic transfer task was assigned to coastal cities and plateau cities, and the population of these cities migrated to inland cities. Cities in Liaohe, Qinghuangdao, and the Hanzhang Plateau all migrated to the inland. North and south cities. Then the national map of the population of the whole country turned into a square, and on the edge of the square is the Snow Country train. The Snow Country train runs around the border of the square and passes through every province directly under the central government. Received. Xiao Guofeng saluted loudly. This is the first national migration organized by an official organization, and it is extremely great. 9 in the morning. Located at the Liaohe border checkpoint. The import and export departments of the checkpoint here are now evacuating, and the military is starting to garrison point at this moment. Many people who are late are outside the checkpoint, requesting to enter the checkpoint point before the majestic iron fence checkpoint. The SWAT captain was holding an automatic rifle, and his voice was thunderous. Currently the level has been closed. After the special police captain spoke, many people couldn't help but roar, "I'm late. I can go in." "Yes, I'm late too." Some people are yelling. These mermaid and dragons are mixed. There are people sent from various countries to investigate the situation, and there are Chinese people who have returned to China to see the situation. At this moment, there are shouts of exclamation from the crowd point because of their meager attention. Headlines and official news of the internal affairs. There has been an official news feed. Not only official news. Liaohe, Qinghuanghe, Hanzhang Plateau City, Daozi City, and Ka City are close to 12. With a total population of 2,000 people. All these cities have also issued news bulletins. There are also official WeChat public accounts, Zhou, Taoxiao, news sites, and the official has updated the announcement at the same time, as determined by the Special Research Institute. Due to national strategies and other major plans, cities in coastal and plateau areas will migrate to inland cities. More than a dozen official news platforms, multi-traffic platforms directly exploded. There is only one official sentence, and that is the migration of the whole people outside the border checkpoint. These ethnic Chinese all watch the news in horror. Oh my god, we haven't returned to China for a long time. What has changed in the country now? How can there be a national migration? God, I know that our country's decision making must be different. What are we looking for now? We have to enter the country. All the people are migrating. Now the east is completely blocked, and now the population migration is starting again. I always feel that this time it really is going to change. The population is all condensed. The methods of the Special Research Institute this time are unprecedentedly terrifying. Brother, this is 100,000 yuan. I beg you for your convenience. At this moment, outside the border, hundreds of people blocked at the checkpoint couldn't help but want to enter this country. Sorry. The special police captain was expressionless, still yelling point outside the border. There was a roar. They all saw that this country is moving towards a major goal. Chapter 23. Migration of all people. The emergency announcement of the Special Research Institute. When this announcement is issued, the official departments of these cities by the sea began to prepare for the migration of communities, streets, and corresponding inland cities for resettlement. Prior to the suspension of import and export by major countries, the whole people were waiting for employment. This has given the people a bit of psychological preparation, but this announcement is still extremely explosive on all platforms. Meager first national migration hot search comments. God of immeasurable heaven, the country's plan this time is to rule. With a population of close to 20 million, all of our population will live in inland cities in the future. I always feel that our country is brewing what infrastructure plans. Think about it. Import and export stop, and then the whole people migrate. Major infrastructure projects are about to begin. Welcome to the great era. Those foreigners have been persuaded to return to China, and those who are not patriotic have finally not come. They will wait to regret it then. Starting in the morning, the Western internet also exploded because the Eastern project was so great and shocking. In the history of the West, the migration of millions of people was involved, and it could only be a major geological disaster or war. But this was the first great migration in the era of peace in the East. Tubing. Eastern started a tens of millions of migration under the message. Western netizens exploded, madly doubting life. Migration on a scale of tens of millions. After the blockade, is the East going to start a huge infrastructure project? This country is crazy. The ancient and mysterious East is always incomprehensible, and they always perform epic miracles. Starting from the morning order, the official not only issued an announcement, but also let the coastal city official jointly release a live broadcast room. The title is National Migration. Qinhuangdao, Beta Community, Bering District. The community's horn is sounding at this moment. The corresponding national call. The corresponding national call. Residents in the Beta community, please bring your ID card to register, and then the community will arrange trucks to arrange for everyone to live in an inland city, as well as a resident's ID number plate. Then, below the community, in each community, the horn was also sounding, and the WeChat group of the community also appeared. Content. I saw in the tall buildings, the locals dragged their homes and started to register in the community with their ID cards. A group of fathers and sons stood at the gate of the community. They were holding the number plates. The little boy couldn't help but look into the distance and asked curiously, "Dad, where are we going this time?" The boy's father waved his hand and said proudly, "Go inland, and then let you experience the inland cities, our country. The next big step is to be big." This scene is being broadcast live. Then came Xihai City, which is a plateau city. The community horns are also ringing for the corresponding country call. Please, the Northwest Desert, which is close to the desert, will become a desert-like glacier that is deconstructed, fragile and cracked. At this moment, this one is called Wancheng, and at this moment, there are a lot of off-road vehicles lined up neatly. This convoy is called a migration convoy, and the captain is a strong man from the Northwest. He glanced at the convoy, and a voice from the Internal Affairs Department rang in the car. In response to the call of the state, we apply for the national plan and ask the residents of the northwestern border, coastal cities, and plateau cities to relax, pack everything, and prepare their luggage. In the inland cities, we have prepared a beautiful residence for you. The announcement was the voice of the announcer. The motorcade roared, and the motorcades began to head to the mainland. At this moment, in coastal cities, plateau cities, and desert cities in the northwest, on the provincial highways of these three cities, trucks are heading. This scene is being broadcast live. This is the power of the machines of the great powers. In the official live broadcast room, 12 hours passed, and the live broadcast now turned into an aerial video. I saw Liaohei, Qinhuangdao, and Aozacheng trains full of passengers, and the roads on both sides were extremely bright. At the streetlights, I saw large trucks pulling luggage. Under aerial photography, this was a great scene. Every city was connected to the inner city. Some real estate apartments, before being vacant, became temporary housing point. Crowds of residents in the community began to evacuate with their luggage and their families in an orderly manner. Trains and planes continued to transport the crowds for free. As for land, there are groups of trucks every 2 kilometers on the road. Military vehicles are used as part of the way to maintain order under aerial photography. This scene is extremely spectacular at 10 o'clock in the evening. The Special Research Institute Center and the conference room. Lin Ping, the head of the interior, and Zhao Guofeng, the deputy head, were all watching official reports from the migrating areas. Migration is in progress. This time almost half of the country's vehicles have been mobilized for migration. Most of the migration locations are in the empty 2nd and 3rd tier small cities in the north. The idle buildings in these cities are temporarily used as residences. Great and magnificent. The dark provincial road is full of car lights. Seeing this scene, the head of the interior, Lin Ping, couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Finally, the first step is the migration of the population. Next, the population of our country will live in the interior, and the territory of our country will become a square. Only when we gather together, the next infrastructure plan, the Snow Country train plan, can be implemented. Ping couldn't help saying. As the highest minister in the past, his eyes were full of excitement at this moment. After all, it is simply an honor to personally complete such a great miraculous migration arrangement. Major projects. Our country is never afraid of major projects. Zhao Guofeng, a brown bear figure, hammered his chest and grinned. As for the floor-to-ceiling windows, Ying Ziyue stood in front of the map. On this day, he used the Internal Affairs Department to carry out the migration plan. Now the plan has started perfectly. Very good. The steps are going on step by step. The next industrial revolution, one after another. Huge projects will also begin. This is the power of a great power. Chapter 24. Number 10 is correct. At 8 o'clock in the morning, the Supernatural Special Research Center, the sun was shining, and the air was sultry. There was no wind, only thorny sunlight shining on the 10 buildings in front of each building. There is an academic team standing. Except for the trains and the lack of infrastructure teams, the remaining teams are all full, with 10 people in each team. In front of the 10 buildings. The team was straight. Ying Ziyue and the Minister of Internal and External Affairs looked at the academic team as if they were visiting. Let the 8 academic teams start researching glacier technology, and let the university president go to the conference room. Ying Ziyue ordered. The 8 teams are chemistry, botany, physics, electricity, mechanics, clothing, pulse devices, and technology. The goal of these 8 teams is to produce pre-ice age defense products, such as mechanical heating devices, such as make a pollution-free chemical melting glacier device. At the same time, these team members are already the top professors selected in the country, and they will also become lecturers at this moment, in the conference room of the infrastructure building, this time Chen Jiang, the president of Qinghai University, Ruan Bei, the president of Nanjing University, Zhang Weiguo, the president of Jinling University, and there are nearly 7 university presidents such as Southwest University and Jiangnan University. They all sat in the conference room, waiting for the leader of the special research team. Everyone, starting from your university, all courses will be cancelled. English, trade, economics and other courses will be cancelled, and all courses will be replaced by 6 courses of mechanics, engineering, infrastructure, geography, technology, and trains. Ying Ziyue didn't sit down, he stood straight. This is a real fight against disaster for the whole people. After he finished speaking, the expressions of other university presidents changed a little. Yesterday it was a migration of tens of millions, and they all know that there will be various miraculous changes next. Should all college courses become courses for these 6 major industrial machinery? Chen Jiang, president of Qinghai, asked. All. Ying Ziyue spoke, decisively and coldly. Not only colleges, all kinds of training courses, high schools, junior high schools also. Ying Ziyue spoke. After the assignment, the university principals evacuated. They must urgently assign the course to change the plan. In the meeting room, the sultry sun was shining, and Ying Ziyue didn't feel it anymore. It was sultry. Because only he knows that this ice age must be madly contended by the whole people. This disaster is too terrifying. This is not a small ice age, nor is it a so-called cold wave, but a global in a sense. Frozen, as your icebound Earth point, these colleges and universities will be the next continuous talent pool. For example, when the Snow Country train is completed, the academic conferences of these colleges and universities will be excellent mechanical personnel. For example, when the giant Snow Country train station appears, they will be the most technical personnel point. In addition, after the city is linked by snow and wind, the following city maintenance, building repairs, various temperature insulation layers, and offensive city wall buildings will all need this kind of mechanical technology talents. Now it is for colleges and universities to cultivate and reserve these continuous technical talents. In the morning, Ying Ziyue was still alone in the conference room designing drawings. The transfer of hundreds of millions of people was extremely ambitious, and the design must be perfect. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Ying Ziyue opened the alumni group of the former civil engineering school. Sure enough, there are 99 plus messages in the group, all are related to academic changes. To Chen Shuiwen, Department of Surveying, Campus, did your instructor tell you that our surveying department has become a train surveying department? It is said that we are going to participate in a major train project as a surveying survey. One campus infrastructure department. It has changed. Guess what our infrastructure department has become? Actually, let us learn to build the city wall. It is said that we need to build the outside of every city. This time the country's infrastructure is too big. I heard now everything has changed. Those polytechnic universities have directly become mechanical universities. One campus design study in using Xin. It's okay for you. Our design drawings are really difficult. Do you know what we design now? We used to design small villas and small apartments mysteriously. Now we are designing giant train stations. It is said to be prepared for a giant train. This train station relies on the Northern Ecological Park. It is said that the size of the train station exceeds the bird's nest. It is getting harder and harder for me. To Campus Department of Mechanics, Hanwei, you are all relaxed. Do you know what we are going to do with mechanics? We need to design a new city with a population of tens of millions and show arched buildings. I estimated that this city is brand new urban planning. I can only say that the era of major countries and infrastructure construction is about to begin. One campus engineering construction department. Thompson, don't say anything. Now other universities of science and technology, universities of the arts have changed, all have become machinery, technology, infrastructure, trains. Our big country will not open the era of industrial machinery well. This is too scary. Crossing out the message, Ying Ziyue smiled. Now colleges and universities. These technical talents will be the best cards. Next point, migrant workers have the task of migrant workers, and skilled workers have the task of trains. As for these technical students, they are the next bearing. The current training will be reflected in the arrival of the Ice Age. Now it is not only the major campus groups, but also the major news. Headline news. All courses in the University of Science and Technology will be cancelled, and the Department of Infrastructure and Technology will be changed in seconds. The University of the Arts did not expect that their department has become a train and sister. What kind of train is this? Enough to cultivate one art university? The Department of Communication University has become a work department of various transfer stations, learning foreign media rumors. The East wants to start the industry. In short, starting on the morning of the 10th, colleges and universities began to learn about mechanical infrastructure construction for the whole people. Chapter 25. On the afternoon of the 10th, after the major courses in the East were changed. Some famous universities in the West have directly paid attention. Rose Country Massachusetts College. Society and Nature Research Group. Since the closure of the city in the East, Massachusetts colleges and universities have begun to study the structure of Eastern society. At this moment, in the meeting room, 4 people have white hair. And one Governor Eric is looking at the research form. Dongfang entered into seclusion on the 8th, began its migration to coastal cities on the 9th, and opened a course on mechanical infrastructure in colleges and universities on the 10th, which means that this country has a terrifying cohesion and appeal. A black sociology professor couldn't help but exclaimed that he had traveled across the country and had never seen a country with such a horrible appeal. I just want to know their purpose. Governor Eric frowned. Entering the new era of mechanical industry, this is the direction we are seeing now. Another white professor said, "Fuck." Governor Eric roared. He pointed to the east and said nervously, "God, I can feel the country like the lion in the east. They have begun to close and lock the country. They have begun to migrate, and they have begun to enter the mechanical industry. This means that the East has a big infrastructure plan." Eric's sharp eyes are very complicated. He is a governor, Mr. Governor, you think too much. This is Massachusetts. This is a country of roses. This is the center of science and technology, engines, and precision instruments. This is the world's most pinnacle of science and technology. The black professor gracefully made a gentleman's gift. A pair of academic eyes with pride. At this moment, this scene is also appearing in other universities around the world. The East of national machinery, industry, and infrastructure makes the West, where the industry started, extremely curious. Asian time, 8:30 in the evening on the 10th point today. Ying Ziyue went home. In the living room, Ying Ziyue's parents cooked 3 dishes and 1 soup, vinegared cabbage, egg fungus, shredded pork with Beijing sauce, served with rice, and staple oil cakes. The meals are not rich, but warm. After eating, Ying Ziyue continued to sit on the sofa. This time Ying Ma took a lot of seriousness. Midnight. Did your school curriculum also change and become the Department of Industrial Machinery? Ying Mu asked. Ying Ziyue nodded. Next, there is really a big infrastructure. Let me tell you. Next, our country will build a huge train across the country. According to the information I know, this train will cover every province and every municipality in the country, and it will be divided into 2. The railway station. The railway station is nearly half a city, one in the northern ecological park, and one in the south. This time it is really generous. Ying Mu was very excited, as if she was shocked by the previous plan during the day. Our unit also announced that this train is said to be called the Snow Country Train. It goes around the country and can carry millions of passengers. This is not a regular train, but a 7-story giant train. As for the detailed information, I don't know. Midnight, you guys. The school is a key school, and it is estimated that it will be responsible for the location of the train. Ying Fu side point. After living so long, he experienced this kind of thing for the first time. Yes, your father said that the special research team and the internal affairs will have any instructions next. The whole people's colleges and universities will enter the mechanics, and the population will migrate. The next action will not be small. Ying Mu is like a small child. Like a girl, she is absolutely confidential outside, but at home she can't restrain her inner curiosity. The next big move will definitely be a big move. Now it is the era of national industry. What will happen next? Anyway, it will definitely be shocking. Ying Fu side point. As for Ying Ziyue, she is still a good boy. Not much to say, not to ask more. His parents went to rest until 9:30, and he returned to the bedroom. Now he looked at the sky again, and watched with a single telescope. The picture Ying Ziyue saw was even more blurred. Carbon dioxide, an unknown gas obstruction. Now the direct exposure time of the Earth has been less than 15 minutes. When I turned on the phone, the weather averaged 32 degrees, and the 3 countries reached 40 degrees. The weather was still sultry. Cool. After taking a long sigh of relief, Ying Ziyue's expression was complicated. Indeed, it was indeed going to change wildly. Next. The extreme temperature. There is no oxygen in the ocean, and a large number of creatures die. The melting of glaciers is accelerated. There is also the Earth entering a dense galaxy, and then the direct time will be shortened to 8 hours, and then the temperature will begin to drop sharply. It's coming. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.